Fran.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Glad you could join us today, tonight, wherever you are.
This evening.
And maybe it's afternoon or morning,
that's
wherever
right.
you are.
Could be
Or
something.
maybe it's Thursday.
Yeah. Maybe it's winter in some parts of the world.
Yes, we spoke with someone in New Zealand. It's winter there.
Yeah.
And we want to say hello to Seth and Sky Graham, Jane Spitfire, and Ruby, and Rebecca,
Skylar Mendez Mosley. It's that time of week, everyone, yes. Born JW, 587 Maverick, hello.
Hi, Maverick. Glad you could join us.
Michelle, hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Everyone.
And we have an interesting program tonight. The topic is not what you think, not what you feel, not what you say. It's what is.
Sometimes I wonder. It'll get there.
Yeah, it'll come together. But let's see. We got a few people, waiting for a few people. Hi, Tad. Nice to see you again.
Hello, Tad. Arigato.
Arigato.
Is that right?
He'll tell us. Arigato. And that means hello?
I think.
Okay. Correct us, Tad, if we're saying it right.
Or the right word.
Yes. Paul Kohler, good to see you all this week. Thank you. And Sten, well, good morning. It's 8:30 Thursday here, and I am outside cutting my toenails.
All right.
Just thought I would let you know. Thank you for
the
information.
Glad to know.
Now, let's see. Sten, I think you're in Australia? Or where are you, Sten? I always forget.
Probably.
The real love. Hello, everyone. I just got back from my cruise, living my best life ever. Yes, Del Real Love likes the cruises. South Australia.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so are you having winter in Australia? I think you are, right? We're having our summer now.
Close, real close.
Officially,
21st.
20th, 21st. Yeah. So, well, thank you all for joining us. Shaq, hi Shaq. You're probably still at work. And
Yeah, good. The video's going to be on with
two different videos.
Oh, but the first one is.
Well, first we have Bill Cooper.
Bill Cooper.
And then we have Yuri Bezmenov.
Yeah.
Just short clips from each one.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, you want to do the birthdays?
Birthdays.
Okay, we'll go to our website, and you can too. It's called ExJWFriends. You can follow along with us. If you haven't gone there, you might want to check it out. The Bill Cooper, yes. Maverick said the Bill Cooper. Okay, birthdays this month. June 2nd, Gail White. Vic Cruz on June 5th. June 6th, Gabriel Lemus is Dino's daughter. And Annie's son, our Annie from the program here. June 7th, Debbie Glander and John Drew. June 9th, Kent Ripple. June 10th, Eliana. She was 20 years old. June 11th, Dwight Kincaid. June 12th, Al Zelenka. And Pixie from the Six Screens. June 13th, Yvette and Willow, Carol Ballard's granddaughter. I've got to insert someone in here, so I don't want to forget it. Let me just get my notes. Okay, we'll get to June 13th. Okay. June 14th, Dan Clark, Carrie Kay, and George Matthew. June 16th, Sarah Cummins. And June 17th, Chad Burns and Chi-Chi, or Cece, 21 years old. And I have to add, we haven't had a chance to put it up there yet, Tony and Tim Thompson. They're called the TNT twins. They were born June 17th, 1982. So we wish them a happy birthday yesterday. Okay, June 18th is Jeff Heyman. Do you want to do some?
Oh, no, go ahead.
June 19th. Okay, June 19th, Nad Natwin. June 20th, Dakota. Second birthday, Dakota. He comes on with his dad, Seth. June 21st, our son, Mark, Stephen Wynyard, and Elvin. June 22nd, Laura Nat. June 23rd, Roseanne Paul. June 24th, Beverly Harward. June 25th, Erica Chase and Luann Mandronico. June 26th, Sylvia Miller and Linda Egan. June 27th, Natasha Peters and Rodney Carroll. June 28th, Lisa Schmigel. June 29th, Rob Burns and Sweet Quilly. And those are the birthdays for June. Again, if you know of
Happy
any,
birthday.
if we missed you, please let us know.
Incidentally, we're sure everybody here had a birthday.
That's right.
It's very important to be sure of something, and we're sure of that.
Skylar Mendez Mosley said her brother's birthday is tomorrow, as well as my brother-in-law's on Friday. Wow. Got a lot going on in that family. Thank you. Let's see, who else? Yeah, the reason why we do birthdays is because we weren't able to celebrate them
No.
when we were Jehovah's Witnesses.
No.
So we try to, mention the birthdays of the month.
And we're glad to hear nice times that people are having with their birthdays.
Mm-hmm.
First birthdays and doing something just special for you. Doesn't have to be anything that others think is special, but special for you.
Okay. I believe we have a birthday song. I'm not sure. Can't remember. Thank you, Shauna. We had a new birthday song, and anniversaries for June.
Yeah, I'll give the anniversaries. This month, June 1st, David and Tori Stambaugh. Congratulations, 7 years. June 7th, Matt and Linda Kiefer, our nice supporters that we have. June 8th, Ray and Gwen, 51 years. Congratulations. June 13th, Vern and Shauna, 10 years. Keep going. June 25th, Wild Wild and Patty, nice.
Happy
anniversary.
anniversary.
Oh,
And next week we'll have an anniversary song. So
yeah.
we'll still be mentioning the June birthdays and anniversaries. Let's see. Nadine is here. Who's what? Coda is singing along. That's nice.
Somebody made the mention that the birthday song was saloon music. Reminds me of places we've gone to with a player piano and peanut shells on the floor.
Yes, that's right. That's fun.
Perfect.
Okay, we've got some upcoming events. We're looking forward to Still Alive in 2025. Rick Fearon is putting this on. It is in Tewksbury, Massachusetts, near Boston. It's August 1st through the 3rd, and we've known about this for the past year, and it's getting closer and closer. So there's still tickets. If you click on there, it'll bring you to the Six Screens website. You'll be able to get your tickets through Rick. The tickets are free. It's at the Hilton in Tewksbury. Also, they're giving discount prices at the Tewksbury if you use Fearon, Fearon. And several people are staying there already. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, please do. There's going to be other places to stay, but that's right where the convention is, and it makes it a lot easier. And then September 26th, there's a meetup in Las Vegas, Nevada, and that's going to be September 26th and 27th. So if you go on that site, you'll be able to get all the details. And that should be really nice because there's a lot of friends in Las Vegas.
And Skylar Mendez Moses said brother's birthday's
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I mentioned that. Yeah, I mentioned that.
Okay.
Thank you. So those are the only meetups we know. If you have any other meetups. Now, the meetup that they had last week at the, oh boy, where was it? Well,
Paul Coller's got a question of mine. Many be living near Ripley, West Virginia.
oh, yes. Yes. Would you mind asking how many may be living near Ripley, West Virginia, and Akron, Ohio? Any folks here from Akron or Ripley, West Virginia?
Let us know.
Yes. Anyway, the meetup that they had last week was a success that Sylvia Miller put on. It was the last minute, and they had 10 people, and it was in Arizona. I just don't remember the place, but it was a Mexican restaurant, and they had a nice turnout. So you could do a meetup, even if it's just a few people. You don't have to have a big fanfare.
No.
You can just meet for coffee or meet at the park. Basically, the purpose is so that other XJWs and former witnesses, whatever you want to call yourself, that can get together. And we have so much in common, and we like to share that. It's very healing, and what's another word when people get together? It's validating because, somebody else understands what we went through.
Oh, and it puts an end to loneliness too, feeling like you're all alone in this world, even though you have people around you, but they're not ones who understand you and understand what we've gone through. It's really important. It's really very important. Anything you can to connect is good. And, you don't have to feel like, well, I've got to establish a long-term, close, intimate bond with this person. No, we don't do that with all people that we meet, but we just share what we can and let it develop in whatever it is. And be open-minded about it. There's no obligation, just openness to find something out and to expand yourself a little more and to help that person expand too. You'll both grow.
Mm-hmm. And we just want to let folks know that Teresa had her surgery Monday and it went really well. She's going to be in the hospital for a week. So we'll keep updating you as we get an address. If anyone wants to send cards to her, we will let you know. Debbie is up and down. She's been having a lot of difficulties, and she could use some cards, Debbie Moore. And if you want her address, just ask us, let us know, and we can send it to you. And anybody else, too, that you know that could use some encouragement. I know Celeste could always use some encouragement. And we have a special announcement. Maybe you've seen Vern's latest video that he put out, that he's taking a break for his health, and he's going to be having surgery coming up. And there is a GoFundMe page. I think Shauna said it's in the, it's going to be in the chat. There it is. Okay. Yes. My good wife just put it in. Here's the link, GoFundMe. If you tap on that, you can send Vern and Shauna some money, which will help cover their expenses. See, in Canada, they don't have insurance for certain surgeries and things like that. And this is something that is not covered, but it'll be explained in the GoFundMe page. If you just go there, and if you can't do GoFundMe, maybe you can just share it with someone that can. We know everybody can't give, but even a few dollars goes a long way. So, and interesting, our American money is worth more over there. So they have it in Canadian, whatever. They do the exchange.
Yeah.
So if you can, yes, and thank you all for the best wishes we have received so far. We both appreciate it very much. Yeah, Vern has done a lot on his channel.
Yeah, and both of them has done so much for this, for what we do here. The fact that you can, meet together and engage and share like this, it doesn't just happen. Thank you, Sean and Vern.
Yeah, and we'll mention it again for people that come on later. And the link is right there. So just go to the GoFundMe for Vern, and I'm sure they do appreciate it. We know they do.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other announcements?
No.
Okay. I think the upcoming events is still up, Shauna. Thank you, Joe and Fran. Okay, Faded is here. Faded in San Diego. Hello. And Fallen Ashes. Hi, Fallen.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned that. And Nadine, what meetup is there on June 22nd? I don't know if there's a meetup on June 22nd. Does anyone else know? I don't know. Jeannie Jewel. Hello, Jeannie. And let's see. They were talking about a Zoom meeting. Oh, okay. Apparently it's a Zoom meeting on June 22nd. Okay. I think Shaq knows. Okay. Shaq does. Okay, maybe Shaq can put some information here. Hi, John Marciano. So, did you want to get into tonight's topic?
Whenever. Yeah.
All right.
Again, welcome everybody. Our theme, or one of the themes, I should say, was
Not what you think, not what you feel, not what you say. It's what is.
Boy, that's interesting. Because every one of us has some perception of something. We grow up, we have a certain perception of something. Actually, we start out as a child. We don't grow up, we start out as a child, and then we grow up. And most adults realize that the child has an idea of something, but they know, it's not what they think. Because they'll usually tell a child some bogus little reason why something is the way it is. Why do they do that? Why do they tell me? Why don't they tell me what it's really true? And the way it really, kid wouldn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
They just sit there and, I don't know, turn away or something.
You mean something like Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy?
It could be anything.
Okay.
Anything that they find an interest in.
Mm-hmm.
Because a kid at a certain point starts asking questions and stuns the parent a little bit as to know how to answer it. Well, they got to come up with something. So
You make me think of the time that all your aunts were in the kitchen and you were little.
Oh, dear.
And what did you say?
It was just an honest question. It was a holiday celebration. The whole family was there, and the aunts were sitting together, and it just popped into my head. It's like, well, how do babies come about? Or
Where do babies come from?
It's like, where do they come from? I never got an answer. I didn't get an answer. They just sat there and laughed. It's like, why are they laughing? It's like, gee, I asked a question. I didn't get an answer. And see, that's what it's like for young people. They don't get answers for their questions. And adults, we were not terribly helpful for them.
Oh, dear.
Thanks for reminding me.
You're welcome. I thought that would be an appropriate example.
Well, it is. It really is. Because So a child goes through their life either feeling totally ignorant, or they end up looking really hard for answers because they don't want to go through the rest of their life without answers to their questions. And they may not trust any adults for giving them the answers either. So we all of us grow up thinking things are a certain way. And then you get together with other people and you relate them and talk about the things that you think. And they look at you and say, it's not that way. I don't know why you think that, but you're confused. That's not the way it is. Well, why didn't I know better? We're not told what's true when we're young. We're just not. We're just not. People, it's not that people really want to lie to us. It's just that they really don't want to tell the truth to us, children, because they feel we can't handle it, or they feel that they themselves don't want to be the ones to share it with them because it could be embarrassing or what.
Maverick says, don't worry. It will be a question from readers soon.
Yeah, we'll be looking for it too. We'll be looking for it.
Oh, dear.
So at any rate, so we find out things aren't what I thought. And sometimes it's very interesting to find out sometimes, oh man, oh, I'm glad I found out. Other times it's destabilizing to find out something is not what you thought it to be. And frankly, that's what's happening lately in the whole of society.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we thought to be a certain way, that we relied on, is being shown to be, sorry, it's not what you think. It's not what you think at all. Now, why is that? The video that we're going to see and the speaker is going to explain it a little bit too. But I just want to, I'd rather go into that, right into the videos.
Which one do you want to do?
One.
Which one do you want to do first?
This
one is the one with Bill Cooper. Want to do that one first?
Bill.
Okay.
Bill Cooper.
A lot of you know Bill Cooper.
Yeah, see
It's just part of it.
See
We're not
if he
showing
has
the whole
something
thing.
to say that helps straighten things out.
Chapter 10, verses 20 through 23, and chapter 14, verse 1. Look it up. Two other 8th century prophets were Hosea and Micah. Said Hosea, quote, "And the children of Judah and the children of Israel shall be gathered together, and they shall appoint themselves one head, and shall go up from the land, for great shall be the day of Jezreel." Chapter 1, verse 11. And Micah's famous Advent message, chapter 5, verse 2, stated that out of Bethlehem in the land of Judah, the ruler of Israel would come forth. Nowhere the arbitrary distinction between post-exilic Judah and Israel, which has given rise to Mormon and British Israel fancies. They're both deceptions. Both spring from the heart of British and American Freemasonry. In harmony with the above, the prophet Daniel prayed for the restoration of all the tribes. See Daniel chapter 9, verses 1, 7, 11, 15, and 18. In this religion, ladies and gentlemen, lies the answer why so many Jews are mixed up in the New World Order. Why so many are helping to bring it about. It's because, ladies and gentlemen, they are not really Jews at all. Their name is Jewish. Some of them look Jewish, sound Jewish, and even go to synagogue, but they're not Jewish at all. They're secular humanists, socialists, who promulgate the mystery religion, British Israelism, Anglo Israelism, the destiny of America and Great Britain, because it will bring them the promise of their fathers, that they will rule the world. International Zionism is thoroughly entangled in the teachings of British Israelism. Most Zionists are not Jews at all, ladies and gentlemen. They are Christians. Jerry Falwell is a Zionist. The Mormon Church, by definition, is Zionist. Christian identity is Zionist. Don't believe it? Listen to their teachings. And they are all, every one of them, bringing into being the new world order, most of them without even understanding or knowing what it is that they are involved in. You see, when this new world order comes about, real Jews, real Orthodox Jews, and real Christians, and real Islamic fundamentalists will be destroyed by these people, along with all blacks and Hispanics, which they call useless eaters. And the concept of a master race in itself is racism personified in the religion. And anyone who belongs to it is a racist. I don't care what they call themselves, what they call their church, or what kind of words they put it in to hide their venom toward their fellow human beings. I believe in one race, the human race. All of these other things are deceptions which will divide us, enslave us, conquer us, murder us, promulgate the same old chaos, confusion, destruction, wars, etc., 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 for all the future of humanity. No one is going to be raptured, and when Jesus Christ comes, it will not be Jesus Christ. Ezra, consequently, folks, mentions among those who returned men from Bethel and Ai, centers of the idolatrous worship of the northern kingdom. Ezra chapter 2, verse 28. The men of Bethel and Ai, 223. In chapter 2, verse 70. So the priests and the Levites and some of the people dwelt in their cities, and all Israel in their cities. Consequently, Ezra offered a sacrifice for all Israel. Ezra chapter 6, verse 17. And for a sin offering for all Israel, 12 he-goats, according to the number of tribes of Israel. And in verse 21, and the children of Israel that were come again out of the captivity, and all such as had separated themselves unto them from all the filthiness of the nations of the land, to seek Jehovah the God of Israel, did eat. The NT, following in the wake of the old, knows of no lost tribes. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, NT is just short for New Testament. Paul said, unto which promise our 12 tribes, earnestly seeking God night and day, hope to attain. Acts chapter 26, verse 7. And in case you missed it, let me back up and read again. Ezra chapter 6, verse 17. Listen carefully. And for a sin offering for all Israel, 12 he-goats, according to the number of the tribes of Israel. They were all there together. Anna, the prophetess, was of the tribe of Asher. Luke chapter 2, verse 36. Robert E. Moyer states that the expression, quote, house of Israel, end quote, is used 14 times in the Old Testament before the nation was divided into two kingdoms, while the phrase house of Judah also occurs 4 times before the division. But the British Israelites claim that after the division, these two terms are strictly confirmed or confined to the two kingdoms respectively. And it just is not true. Why then? If according to this theory, only descendants of the two tribes returned, did Jesus say that his disciples should enter neither into homes of Gentiles nor of Samaritans, but rather to the lost house of Israel? Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. Why? At the time when Jesus spoke, according to the opponents, the house of Israel was dwelling in Ireland and Scotland. So how could they go into the house of Israel? That quoted passage of Scripture, all of them that I just gave you, are in themselves, ladies and gentlemen, sufficient to knock the foundation from under the entire Mormon as well as Anglo-Israel deductions concerning remote descendants of so-called lost tribes upon whom the Lord God should still look as upon his ancient Israel. There were no lost tribes. It should be borne in mind that the group that returned from Judah and Benjamin was a small minority, as well as those who returned from among the 10 tribes. But these minorities are called Israel and the Jews. Those that remained dropped out of the ranks, intermarried, and were amalgamated among the nations. It would then be as logical and scriptural to speak of the lost tribes of Judah and Benjamin as it is to refer to the lost 10 tribes, but not more so. If you even understand this at all, and I hope that you do, it might save you a lot of pain and heartache someday. Having thus rejected the foundation upon which this structure rests, let's continue and trace to what fictitious and fantastic ideas this ill-based theory has given birth. Let us consider the things of which Mr. Reader Harris wrote, and he generally wrote the foundation upon which all the rest of it rose up. He said, the objection may again be raised that this is all very wonderful, but that it rests to a large extent upon tradition. Tradition, however, is the basis of all earlier history, end quote. If that were true, we would never know the true history of the world. Among these wonderful traditions, then, we meet with the following. Not as though the British Israelists abandoned Scripture for tradition, but they take such Scripture passages as refer to pre- or post-exilic conditions of Israel and apply them without further ado to where they fit in with tradition, ladies and gentlemen. Israel was to become a company of nations. God said to Jacob, Joseph was to become a fruitful bough, his branches run over the wall. Jacob added upon his deathbed. Israel was to be a maritime nation. I will set his hand also on the sea, Psalm 89. He was to possess the isles of the sea, Isaiah chapter 24, verse 15, 41, verse 1, and Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 10. So with the fiction of the lost tribes roaming the earth, and with the centuries to work with, the British Israelists moved the descendants of the lost tribes all over the map as the men upon a chessboard are moved. Its seed shall become a multitude of nations, said Jacob of Manasseh in Genesis 49:19. It will at once be seen that this eminently fits that modern melting pot, the USA. Does it not? Well, the principle of British Israelism, exegesis, is to follow the pattern of history. But you could take several nations through history and make them fit into this pattern. Depending upon who you are and what your agenda is, many different nations could make these same claims with no problem whatsoever. When certain features are predicted concerning Israel, look for the nation exhibiting those features, and presto magico, you have found the lost tribes. While most British Israelists place the lost tribes in Ireland and Scotland, the Mormon Church places them in America with the American Indians, or I should say the Native Americans. For the term Indian came from a misconception that they had discovered the far eastern country of India, which in fact they had not done. For instance, Israel was to be a Sabbath-keeping nation. That was to be a sign between me and you throughout your generations. Exodus chapter 31, verse 13. Great Britain, with its erstwhile 60 colonies in the United States of America, they say, alone have observed the Christian Sabbath as over against the so-called continental Sabbath. Great Britain and the United States of America are Israel, and it's not true. You see, because God's Sabbath is the first day from sunset on Friday night until sunset on Saturday. So this is a lie. Great Britain and the United States of America have never kept the Sabbath in their histories. They keep Sunday. Or excuse me, the Sabbath is the seventh day, which is sunset Friday to sunset Saturday. Great Britain and the United States of America have kept the first day, Sunday, the venerable day of the worship of the sun from the old pagan religions. And how did that come about? Very simply, when the Catholic Church and the Pope ruled the known world at that time, the Pope changed God's 10 Commandments as if he were God and made the day of worship Sunday to appease the worshipers of the sun, which he wished to bring into the fold of the Catholic Church. You've all been deluded. You're so deluded, you're so far out in left field, you don't even know what you are. You don't know who you are, and you don't even know why. You follow blindly these people who stand behind pulpits and lie to you day to day to day to day to day and night to night to night to night, as surely as the sun sets and rises again every morning. And why do you do that? Why do you become pawns in their agenda to enslave you? Because that is exactly where it's leading. It was also said of Israel, "Thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow." Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 12. And we see that Great Britain and the USA have become the greatest moneylenders among the nations. That's what they say. That's what they tell you. But they don't tell you that the United States has become the biggest debtor nation that has ever existed in the history of the world and cannot possibly fulfill this prophecy. Where are your minds? What has happened between your ears to make your brain turn to mush at the mouths of these liars? Why do you grovel at their feet and accept these scraps of baloney that they're feeding you with? Your spirits are starving for the truth, and that's why you're so unhappy. Because generally you find unhappy people flocking to these religions because it promises them that they will be the great of the world. It holds out to dissatisfied, unhappy, affected people the promise that they will be the kings of the world, the master race. They will inherit the kingdom of God. And they might, but not this way, because in this way they are following a lie. These people get up and tell you, thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow, and that is why you are Israel. Many of you really looked at the situation and found out that this is just not true. We are the greatest debtor nation in the world. The American people owe more money than any other people upon the face of this earth and could not be Israel, according to that prophecy, in a million years. Similarly, Isaiah predicted that Israel would be an undefeated people. Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17, chapter 41, verse 10. But what of the United States? Isaiah prophesied that part of Israel was to split off from the mother country. Chapter 49, verses 19 and 20. Besides, already Jacob had predicted that while Ephraim was to be the greater, Manasseh also was to become a great people. Where, exclaimed the British Israelists rhetorically, are the descendants of Manasseh? And the answer is, in Isaiah chapter 49, verse 20, we find these words, the place is too strait for me. Give me place that I may dwell. Therefore, according to these people, the descendants of Manasseh must be a great people. And, quote, many students of Scripture believe that in the United States of America we find the branch of Joseph that was to run over the wall. Manasseh was to be the 13th tribe, and the number 13 plays an important part in much that pertains to the United States of America. But is that true? If America split off from the mother country, and the mother country was to be the greater, then how is it that we are greater than Great Britain today and have been for many years? In fact, we saved their butts in World War II. Again, we cannot be what this prophecy claims, or I should say, what the British Israelists claim we are according to this prophecy. It just is not so. And why does the number 13 play so much of a part in American history? Because our founding fathers believed a lot of this. Sir Francis Bacon believed a lot of this. In establishing the United States of America, our founding fathers laid the blueprint for the New World Order. Washington, D.C. was built and laid out according to the Masonic blueprint of a temple of the mystery religion of Babylon. It's all there. In the dome of the Capitol building, you can see the apotheosis of George Washington as he rides in the chariot of the sun as Apollo across the sky, surrounded by all of the old gods of the Roman pantheon. Our original flag had 13 stars for the 13 states. 13 letters make up the American slogan, E pluribus unum. The American dollar contains 13 stars and 13 letters on the scroll. The eagle on the reversed side is 13 wing feathers, 13 tail feathers, 13 arrowheads, 13 horizontal stripes, and 13 parallel lines. Ergo, for those of you who don't know Latin, that means therefore, the original white population, notice the word white, of the United States of America came from England, but the destiny shapers of America failed to advise us how, in the process of crossing the Atlantic, these Ephraimites changed into children of Manasseh. That's a killer. That is a real killer. And we'll continue this, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night. And believe me, my goal is to educate you, wake you up, take you out of deception and slavery, not to hurt you. And I hope that you understand that. I hope sincerely that you all understand what this is all about. And if you're involved in this, exactly what it is that you are involved in. Many of you believe that you are fighting the New World Order from this religion, when in fact you are bringing it into being. There are two factions. British Israelism, made up of Zionism, British Freemasonry, and the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry in the United States. And the other side, the other faction, International Socialism, French Freemasonry, and where they can get along, the communists of the world. That is why President Clinton is always under attack by the British press. Because he is on the other side. Good night, and God bless you all.
Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, we can maybe just have a discussion, a little discussion before we move on to the next video. But just any reactions?
I was
Insights?
reading the comments. A lot of people thought that Bill was angry. He was intense.
Should say he was.
And this is just before he was taken out.
Why do you suppose he might have been angry? Why do you suppose he might have been angry? Any idea?
He knew a lot of things that were going on that people, the normal average person, didn't know. And he was trying to expose people and wake them up.
And he was. He really was exposing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew a lot of things that were going on.
And frankly, the government just simply did not want it leaked like that. They were working on a secret agenda, and they just didn't want people to know it. They wanted people to know something else that they told them. He felt that that would be damaging and hurtful to people if they didn't know what was true. And so he did everything he could to share that. And he knew he was treading on dangerous ground. And he did. They ended up, the CIA ended up murdering him. But in the meantime, what he did do, he shared the information. Any input from anybody? Is anybody?
I think Annie wanted to come on. Hi, Annie.
Hi, Joe and Fran. Sorry,
Hello.
I just got in on this. So who was that was speaking?
It's Bill Cooper.
Yeah. If
Oh,
you didn't
William
get,
Cooper. Oh, he did the Pale Horse, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seemed to be way ahead of his time. Even
Yeah.
I read a lot of that book. I didn't finish it, but I did read a lot of it.
He was an analyst. I think he was a CIA analyst or something like that. And obviously he had information that others wouldn't have. And he was the sort that just didn't want to go hiding that information from the public who were being lied to. He just didn't want to go along with it.
So when he spoke of religion, I just heard him mention it because I came in late.
Yeah.
Was he talking about religion in general or a specific religion?
All religions.
Yeah.
Whatever religion is known as a religion.
Right.
And basically said they're all Zionists. And I mean, look at what the name of the watchtower was. Zion's watchtower.
Well,
Well,
Russell was a Zionist. Russell was definitely a Zionist.
Yeah, what do you suppose they were working for? You know, it's like, and so here the lying all the way through, just pretending to be giving the truth.
Well, all the Masonic signs that was in Russell's literature, my goodness, is right in front of you. You can't ignore it, or you can if you want, but
One
right
interesting,
there.
one interesting thing about the pyramid, though, the study of the pyramid does point to certain things. So he was onto some interesting information. He really was. And
He
I
just
don't.
wanted to, sorry,
No, go
he
ahead.
wanted to apply it to his group of people, though. A lot,
Yeah.
not all of it, but a lot of it.
Right. But beyond that, I mean, it's been shown that the pyramids were never a burial place for anyone. No one was ever buried in a pyramid.
Right. A pasta dude wants to just came on too. You know Bill Cooper, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I also know that 19 Saudis is a story everyone should wonder about, and a 911, and the current situation is so rife with things that the public is not really seeing through yet. Hope they
Right.
do.
Right.
Yeah, because it's just stunning how dark the current situation is. And it's all has to do with these frauds calling themselves God's people out there in the Middle East.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they like the promise. They like the promise, and they want to make sure it applies to them. No matter
Yeah.
who, no
Well,
matter who has to.
you know, and as a general rule, this particular audience should be able to relate to this type of claim and how deeply it can sway you and influence you. And it's been
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
I shared that video with you today from everybody might want to check out Doug and Stacy. Doug's put his neck way out there because you can disappear real easy when you question the who's.
Right.
So that video shows at the end of that video, I think he did it today. This guy stands in front of some panel somewhere about COVID and names off all these major players in the CDC and all these companies, Pfizer, all of them are who's. And keep in mind, I think that nation all had to get the vaccine. So I shouldn't even say that word. That might get us flagged. I'm sorry. I take it back. It's some procedure. But yeah, no, this stuff you're sharing with some of the friends, I mean, it can be difficult to wrap your mind around because it's just the biggest rabbit hole.
Well, look, the pasta dude, you were there. I was there. Fran was there. Everybody who we're talking to was there, where we put ourselves in front of somebody's door, knocked on their door, and we proceeded to relate something to them that we thought was
The truth.
the truth.
The truth.
Yeah.
Now, what was the common response in most cases? No,
I have my own religion, or I'm not interested.
I'm not interested. Maybe it was even more. They thought for a second, realized maybe they asked an insightful question and said, no. Bang, slammed the door. Now, why do you suppose they might have even slammed the door? See, these people were ahead. They had what I refer to as real eyes.
REALEYES.
Real
Did I
eyes.
spell it right yet?
In other words, their eyes were, they were seeing what was in front of them. Hope we got a little bit of a.
I think
echo.
pasta dude. Yeah, that's good. You turned your
So
mic off for a second.
in other words, they weren't going to be fooled by what we were saying. They saw and they said, I know what I'm looking at. Real eyes.
Real eyes.
And so basically they realized
Realize.
the truth of the matter. Or they realized that it's not true. It's not true.
So, Joe, what makes you think that so many people were awake to say, I'm not interested, that they were awake, that they were not interested because they were awake? What makes you think that they were awake?
Well, just to hold on a second, but let's say they at least realized that it was
Real life.
Real lies.
real lives. So
Maybe,
they're
or it was just another religion and they were either not interested in religion or they were
maybe,
already
yeah,
dug in.
yeah, maybe,
Some of
maybe,
them, yeah.
maybe. But see, here's the point. Intuitively, so many knew that you people are full of garbage. You people are so deluded. It makes me angry that you're so misled.
Well,
They saw that and they realized it. I said they're lies. Get out of here. Boom. Don't lie to me. Stop lying to me. See, why would someone be that? See, the fact that, we were pushing something on them that they knew wasn't even true.
Do you think it was religion in general they felt that way about?
Maybe.
Or
I think
specifically witnesses?
actually a lot of them didn't like the fact that witnesses wouldn't go to war. They wouldn't salute the
blood.
flag.
They wouldn't take
They
blood.
would take blood. They let their kids die. They let their wives die. They and all these things. And they realized you people are so out of line with everything. And so the saying, realize, real lies.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. I like. Did you come up with that?
No, we saw
No,
it somewhere a
no.
long time ago.
But see, the point is, how do you have real eyes? How do you have real, another eyes that see what's in front of you instead of what someone wants you to see? How do you want real eyes that aren't deceived? Because you want to realize that what's real, and instead of just what you think or what someone else tells you. Because this is what's happening big time now.
Hi, Ash.
Hello, Ash.
You look like you're at the lake.
Beach, lake,
Or beach.
something like that.
Oops, you got cut off.
Well, at any
Anyway.
rate, there's these things have been going on right from the very beginning, and everything that's gone on has been an absolute deception. Absolute deception.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Hi, Ashes.
I was trying to turn my mic on.
You got
Hey,
it.
Hello. Where are you?
I am currently at my hometown, Rochester. This is the lake.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which lake is that, Ash?
This one is Lake Ontario, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's
Big
a
one.
big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That goes over to Canada?
I think so.
Yeah, it does.
It does on the
Yeah.
other side.
Yes.
It looks like the ocean when you're standing on the beach. It's so far. It looks like the ocean.
Amazing.
I've been there.
Yeah,
Certain parts,
I'm here.
certain parts of it.
It's nice listening to you guys talk and by the lake and just pondering on my past life being an ex-Jehovah's Witness. You know, like I remember knocking on the doors, and of course they would say not interested because they're considered worldly people. They've been established in the world while I was established in a high controlled religion, thinking that this is the way and the only way. So I wanted to mention that part because it's a big part of it that you guys mentioned.
See, the biggest thing that's going on, and we're not the only ones that have been lied to. Anyone and everyone who's attended any churches basically have been lied to.
Right.
That's
They
crazy.
just have. They just have. Now, I know you want to believe, no, they're telling me the truth. Because you want to believe in the truth, but that's why they're able to lie to you, because you will believe what they say
Right.
rather than question it. Uh,
That's
so,
sad.
so basically, this idea of religion and, well, church really has been basically indoctrination so that people comply with an agenda that's been going on for back to Abraham guy, whoever he was, if he was even real.
Can we say hello to Tad and
I forget the name. Kumi? I'm not
is
sure.
it Kumi? Hi, Tad.
Hello, Tad.
Konnichiwa.
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 Kumi.
Konnichiwa.
Thank
Konnichiwa.
you.
You all look very well.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming on and saying
Yes.
hello. Nice to
Yeah,
hear you.
we are very well and living in a world that is not connected to the chaotic world. I will be quick, but I wanted to talk about this. I think religion, especially monotheism, is the worst because
Yeah.
they think that only they are right and
I
that
know.
the others must be wiped out.
I know.
Of course, Muslims are also monotheistic, and it is basically the same.
Yeah.
In the United States, especially evangelicals, they believe that when many countries attack Israel and it is about to be destroyed, Jesus will return and save it. That is nonsense because what
Yeah.
their country is doing is evil itself. It's the same as JW.
Yeah.
At the same time, haven't you realized that Trump is just a president by now? And haven't you realized that everyone is getting rich with universal basic income, and that medbed is also a lie? Our JWs are looking for things they want to believe in one after another. That's
Yeah.
all. Bye.
Thank you, Tad.
Tad, that's so well said. I mean, your English. I mean, I truly appreciate you relating that. That was a beautiful effort, and I agree with what you're saying. I really do. This show is not about religion, unless you want to realize that religion has formed the beliefs of people, but not for belief in Almighty God or a goodness. It was more for making people compliant to be in line for what they always told us, the New World Order.
Yeah. Not being in the moment. It's living for the paradise earth. That
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, Seth
Hello, Seth and family.
and Felicia.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Good memory.
Try.
Yeah. So I've got to ask you, what everyone thinks something. Do you think that's what it really is? What you think it is, or are you starting to realize things are not exactly what you think it is? What do you think?
And I think there's a lot of things that have been hidden. And I think one reason that a lot of witnesses become atheist or agnostics is because once they wake up to Watchtower, they start waking up to what's really going on and has been going on from the very beginning. So they just didn't stop with waking up from Watchtower. They started waking up to a lot of other things, which is what puts them in the position of realizing that all this religion, Bible, and all this that goes with it is not as it's been taught. Never was.
Yeah.
So and if I might say, if I can cut in there, Annie, I appreciate what you said there. First of all, I apologize on the YouTube thing. I'm not getting a great reception on the phone I'm talking on, so I turned the TV on. I'm trying to manage the mutes. But anyway, back to the point. I remember how much I appreciated being able to stand at the door with the weapon of saying, we can explain why God has permitted wickedness. And that pretty much gets kind of blown up with everything else because it doesn't make any sense. But that's an atheist tipping point because there's been horrific things going on. Now, I'm not there. John Ledger has a new thing. He was into atheism, and I've listened to atheists from one end to the other. It just doesn't cancel what I know about creation. There's no way this just popped into the result of a big bang. But in any case, this thing about the truth is really troubling because it's not pleasant. It's very bad. And in the next few days, there's a high probability shocking events going to take place all over the place. And it's very, very unfortunate that it seems, if you look at it, and the more I know, I don't know. I'm not kind of no prophet. But it seems that the more you understand about it, none of these things are accidents. This is not like, well, they did this, so we did that. Those are all acting, theater things to set you up.
Yeah.
Learn about false flags and things like this. I mean, Pearl Harbor and things that happen in Vietnam, it just gets very tiresome to understand. But truth is not altered by what we believe, which is kind of ties to the theme of the show. We have to adapt to what is factual. So let everybody else chip in there. That was a great point, Annie.
That's kind of where I step in and wonder, where do you draw the line between your beliefs, governmental conspiracy, religious conspiracy, what's true, what's wrong, what's right, and you have to be able to draw a line somewhere. And I jump into that and I look into things, and I often wonder, where is that line at? Where do you stop? Where do you continue from?
I got to ask you, Seth. Are you looking for certainty?
Not exactly, because I don't think certainty is out there right now.
Yeah, I think life is too uncertain to have regrets.
Yeah. Well, and regrets come out of someone who is certain that something was going to take place and it didn't.
But regrets are from both sides too. So I'm kind of on that to where, I don't want to regret. I'm still a spiritual person. I'm a Bible reader. I do believe in certain things. And then I'm not going into that, but I'll look at conspiracy to a level. She's more of a conspiracy theorist than I am. But that's okay.
Another question. Can a person go forward with their beliefs, regardless of what takes place around them, maintaining who they are and weathering whatever happens in the process? Is that possible?
Of course. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I believe that. I do believe that.
I like where Vern starts, and you guys are kind of like that. Live your life with love.
Yeah.
You got to be working through that.
The other side of that, the loving, the part that love contains is truthful.
Exactly.
For example,
love is truth.
Yeah. Well, who's truth? Yeah. Because the question is, if you're looking for truth, is it rather something we should live rather than look for?
I think it's both. Because you can refine your truth. Now, I do believe that each person has their own truth, and your truth will refine. Yeah. So that's how I view that anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Totally agree. See, they tricked that organization, and they knew what they were doing. They tricked people by holding out the bait of, we have some certainty here for you. Here's some certainty.
Live forever.
I can't agree with that. That is total bait.
You can have this certainty, Here's some certainty. You'll love it.
See
Oh,
your
yes.
dead loved one.
I'm certain I will. I want this. And they ended up teaching a pack of lies. And unfortunately, there are people who are still in that organization that are holding to those lies. They prefer those lies.
Say
No
hello.
matter what they're told. Hello.
Hello, Dakota.
There you
Dakota.
go. He's biting to say hello. Say hello.
Hello, Dakota.
Yo, yo, yo.
Dakota, you're going to be 2 years old.
Two.
They know you're going to be 2 on Friday.
On Friday. 2 years old.
Are you excited?
Excited.
freezes
Yes,
up
I
once-
see the excitement.
He oozes excitement.
That's funny. Beautiful. Well, look, there's so many. Look, I've been lied to my whole life. Now, so have you, by the way. You've been lied to your whole life. And I'm not lying to you right now. We've been lied to our whole life. They say when a person's lied to and they find out, they'll either go on to believing the lies and being a liar or seeking to be truthful. In other words, well, if they lied to me, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be truthful. Live truthfully. Because obviously the people that lied to them were not living truthfully. So, it brought out the comparison, the contrast. I don't want to be like them. I want to be truthful. And I mean, to me, that in itself points the way forward. And not to say that anything's easy or anything like that, but it doesn't matter. That's a principle in itself, to be truthful.
Honesty is the best policy.
Yeah, we've heard that, haven't we, Ash? Isn't that true? Isn't that true? Isn't that true? Mm-hmm.
I think it's a golden rule. I feel like, at a certain extent, especially if you want to be an honorable person, yeah, you have to live by that golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated, and honesty is the best policy.
Yeah. Beautiful principles.
And that means being true to yourself, which is hard.
Exactly.
When you're coming out of a cult and you've got to deal with all the residuals that come with it. But I just hope that each individual who's in and is awake can someday find peace in being true to themselves and not staying in the org. And I'm not criticizing anyone.
So I work with and I was having a conversation with him today. I work with an keep him quiet for a second, with an ex-Mormon family, actually a husband and wife, and he was pretty high up. He was a pretty high-ranking. I mean, he's not quite governing body level, but he was, I would say, district overseer level if you had to do a comparison. And we were talking about that today, about what do you let shine after you leave? What part of you goes on? And how do you view others after that? And it always boiled back down to the love of others and being able to respect them.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of, I think that if the focus of respect is something that we did not have.
No.
We didn't have it for anybody.
No. We would only respect
I had deep
somebody.
respect though for men. Like I had a deep respect for the man because I always would remind myself as a wife that you had to deeply respect your husband. So I feel like I was taught a lot about respect.
Okay.
And the
But was it learned respect or was it from the heart respect?
Well, it started with my father. Like,
So demanded respect.
It was my father taught me through the Bible that Sorry. Well, there's a lot of like motorcyclists out here, but they're on the water. What is
Can't hear 'em.
ski? I don't know if you guys can hear me.
No, we can't hear him, Ash. It's okay.
Oh, you can't? Okay. They're just so loud. But anyways, yeah, I was taught to deeply respect your husband. So like, you know, I viewed the man as somebody that you have to like listen to first before the woman.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you were raised in a very male-dominated organization.
So I think you can get caught up in respecting the role that someone has, but that doesn't mean you can respect the person.
And that's a good thought. You respect the role, but the person. Do you respect the inner person? Whatever they are, whether whoever it is, do you respect that person in their entirety?
Well, there was a point that was brought out that it said we judge the outcomes. In other words, the person is human, but maybe the human person is behaving like an animal. So can you respect them as a person? No, they're behaving like an animal. Animal, vicious. Well, what about a man? Well, can you respect him as a man if he's behaving as a man, right? If he's behaving as a man with these principles that we've come to understand: protective, honorable, truthful. But if he's not, he's not respectable.
Right.
He's just simply not respectable.
But
Yeah.
So
I
there's
have
different
been
layers.
also told about the examples from the Bible about, you know, those bad kings that what's his name? Not Nahor, somebody else. He was married to Abigail. He was a drunkard.
Nabal.
Nabal.
Nabal,
Yeah, Nabal.
that's the
Good
name.
old Nabal.
Nabal.
Yes.
So like
Good for
even
nothing.
Abigail, huh?
Yeah, good
Go
for
ahead.
nothing Nabal. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like I mean, I would always, not always, but they would talk about that, you know, the meetings, and I would really ponder on that and meditate on that, and how like, even if your spouse was drunk or like, you know, I mean, you still have to show respect. Like, even if they make a decision that will mess up and you know, this is going to mess us up, but you follow it because that's the head of the house. He's the head of the house. What, you know, you got to respect it.
And there are
Well-
consequences for not following that pattern, right?
In that dominated organization, in the male-dominated, or see, because it really wasn't based on. How do I want to say this? It wasn't based on loving principles, which should have been the overarching principle over that situation. The man failed to deliver love. So basically,
I think there's a big difference in being told to respect and respecting out of that principle of love from within you. Being told to respect, obviously we respect anyone in whatever position they come. If you know a government official you respect them because you're kind of told to sometimes, but you still have respect for that person as an individual too. I don't know. I my wording's not coming out either.
you know, you think about it, and you're causing me to think about this. Why would I respect somebody? And the biggest reason, now you mentioned, Seth, respect him because it's due him. In other words, someone told you, oh, he is worthy of respect, so you respect him. Well, you don't even know the fella, but someone tells you it's due him. Okay, I'll give you that much. It's due him. But if you know the person and you see that the person is doing something honorable, good, he's pursuing a course that you can understand and respect, you respect. You have because he's doing no better than you could do, and you could do no better than he could do. So that's respect. That's respect.
Can I just jump in here and welcome Skylar Mendez? It's your first time here on the chat, and we appreciate you coming on.
Hello, Skylar. When you can, say hello if you'd like.
I know in the chat you said you had some different thoughts.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, my AirPods weren't working. I had y'all in my AirPods.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep, you're good. Coming good.
All right. So what was it that you asked again?
Oh, you had some comments you said in the chat that were different or that you wanted to share what we were talking about.
So we were obviously listening to the individual from earlier talking about religion in a broad spectrum and how all organized religion in of itself could pose to be what would the proper word for it this context be?
Deceptive.
Deceptive, yes.
Deceptive.
And
Yeah.
I mean, doing all the research that I have done over the course of the last several months and everything, I've definitely been going into everything and looking at different things. And I do agree that there's a lot of error on the part of organized religion, and they put a lot of human nuances into how they interpret things.
Yeah.
But me personally, with everything that I have been reading, everything that I've been researching, it's more personal. And I know that's controversial to say, especially since every Christian and every individual who claims to be a Christian states that. But it's just people have gotten it into their heads when it comes to the concept of God and Christ that they can fit them into their own perspectives and formulate their own image or their own idea as to how they work. And I think that's a lot of the part in which a lot of Christians, both non-believing and those who claim that they are actual Christians, but their actions show different intentions, they show different mind frames. And so it's really about trying to understand it in a way in which you're not putting your own perceived
This is interesting.
picture of them
I
into your mind.
can I ask you a question and may clarify this a little bit? If
Go
a
ahead.
person says they're either Christian or says they're Catholic or they're this or they're Muslim, and I'll ask them, is that your religion? And maybe they'll say yes. And then I proceed to ask them, well, did you come up with it?
Well, the next question that I would ask after that is, what is the definition of my religion?
Well, that's something. See, that's interesting. That's something you should have. See,
Yeah, because it's a personal.
that's something you should have the definition of your religion.
See,
if
and
you
I
don't-
feel like faith and religion are two different things.
Yeah,
Because
very much so. Very much so.
religion is a framework as to how you perceive in which things should be carried out in an orderly fashion, whereas faith, it's based on the evidence that you read and that you've gathered and making an informed decision as to what that evidence leads you to.
They say when evidence falls off, then faith takes over.
Well, I see both kind of a hand-in-hand type of situation kind of thing, because when you say that evidence starts to fall off and then faith takes over, that's really, like I said, when human nuance and
Right.
perspectives really come into play.
So good. Okay, and I accept that. That's what religions are. Religions are a very human construct. The question becomes, though, is a person just subscribing to someone else's religion, or do they have a religion themselves? What do you think? Can a person have their own religion?
Yeah.
I honestly could say that, yeah, you could put it that way.
Yeah.
You really could.
I'm a living example of that. I don't follow a particular faith. I mean Christian. I profess to be Christian, but
non-denominational.
I wouldn't even say I'm non-denominational because I'm nothing. I'm a spiritual person. I do my own interpretation for myself, and I'll listen to others and I'll listen to what they have to say, but I take control of it for myself. So yes, I have my own religion. I am my own religion.
Yeah, I agree.
Now,
I also
now
have
I'm
my own
also the
religion.
governing body of my own religion too. So just
now
Yeah,
let me ask
right.
you.
out there.
Let me ask you this, Seth, and anyone
Cheers.
else who has their own religion. Would it be reasonable for you to respect someone else who has their own religion?
100%.
My
I'm
religion,
sitting beside
yes.
her right now.
Okay.
She has her own religion. I
Yeah.
have my own religion.
So
We
you can
both
respect.
believe
Yeah.
separately.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we believe a lot of things similar.
Yeah.
We
See,
believe
that
separately
works.
too on a lot of things.
And
See,
that's
that
beautiful.
works. That works.
That's beautiful that you can be married and still respect each other's.
See, the wars and the
Beautiful.
fights.
As long as she bows down every night, kisses my ring, and no, because that goes too far. That's being
a
told to
ritual.
respect.
That would be a
It works for
ritual.
me.
Yeah. Good luck tonight.
You know, in the Philippines, you take the elder, like if someone that's older than you take their hand and you just put them on your forehead like this.
Can I ask a question for both Fallen and to Seth?
Of course.
Okay, so y'all claim to state that y'all have your own religion, and I don't have any disagreements towards that. I believe that as long as your faith built around Christ, as many Christians and others proclaim to have.
What? Wait,
I'm
was
sorry.
that it?
No, but personal religion and having your own religion, it really then starts to get into the point and starts to blur lines as to whether or not you are interpreting what scripture says, so much so to the point in which you, like you stated, are your own governing body, or you're taking the words of what Christ said and fitting it to align with your own framework as to how you believe in which it should be perceived. And they're not saying that there's anything wrong with that in that context, but where does the line get drawn between, okay, I'm still following Christ, toward then I am going to follow Christ's example, but I am going to live it in a way in which I deem is more Christ-like than what Christ showed through scripture.
Christ just asks
I
us to
see.
be good humans. It doesn't hurt us to be good humans to anybody else. It doesn't hurt us to respect anyone else. He did that. He said,
See,
Jesus respected everybody. In my view, from
see,
my
who
reading,
gets to be the judge? Who gets to be the judge in all this?
Oh, Christ, of course.
Oh, okay.
Somebody perfect, basically, you're saying.
Okay. Christ gets to be the judge. Okay. Okay.
and I guess we get to be our own judge.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, we get to be our own judge on that. It's left up to the individual.
There's a concept that they push down our throats, and that is that this Jehovah is what's called the universal sovereign.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, when you think of king over everyone, that's him. He's king over everything and everyone. Sovereign. He rules over everything, everyone. Well, how about humans? Do we have sovereignty?
Yes.
Depends on the context in which you are posing the question.
Okay. Who gets to make decisions for you?
For me?
I get to make them for me. I know she would say she gets to make them for her.
See, shall I make decisions for any one of you?
No.
No, I have no right to. I have no right to. No. Nor should I, allow you to make decisions for me in
Right.
protection of my own sovereignty. And because we were created that way, we are that way. Whatever we became, we're that way. And it seems like it's religion. What religion has done is tricked people to give up their sovereignty and give it over to someone that would dominate them. And that's all it's never done. And it's gotten
Right.
people of different religions to kill each other, all in the name of that they're upholding someone else's sovereignty. But maybe they don't even
Well,
want to go kill the other person. But they're told to. They gave up their sovereignty. They gave up their right to rule themselves.
I mean, was Fran going to say something? Because I thought Fran mentioned.
No, go ahead.
Um, excuse me. I think for what trying to process everything. Personally, being raised as a Christian, but a strong, strict Jehovah's Witness Christian. Yeah, I do. To answer your question, Sky. I use my experience with that religion with how I view the world now, which makes the religion that I guess do my way of life. Um I believe that I have to believe in myself. I know I'm gonna make mistakes. I think that my religion is where I have to have faith in myself and just do it. I feel like for me, my religion now is just, yeah, try to follow the perfect example, which was Jesus Christ or whoever it was. Whoever is the perfect person. In my eyes, it was Jesus. And I really think he was a really cool person if he was real. So because of that, I follow that. I still, to this day, go through I believe that you should treat others the way you want to be treated. I believe in empathy. I believe in walking in the shoes of another person. Like I'm not going to be perfect at it, and that's the problem with the religion that I'm in. Right, my own religion is it's not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm not.
Not supposed to be.
You don't have to be.
Not supposed to be. No one else is.
And I'm not telling anybody to do that, but I think that it's wise to treat others the way you want to be treated, because if you don't, then I mean, we live under laws, we live under government. You got to live in the moment. I believe in that too. I believe in also considering being atheist. Like, I mean, I believe in perspective. I mean, I feel like life isn't that simple as writing in a book and telling you that this is what it is. Like, I feel like you got to live in the moment. And if I die, then that's the moment. And you guys won't see it because that's what I went through and you didn't. And that's where the belief comes in, because I've never been 75 yet. I'm still in my 30s. It's like I want to live in the moment. I want to experience it. And if it's a bad thing, like that, I'll deal with it. Like how I deal with myself, my physical arm. That's a bad thing in a sense. Some people think that I'm cursed, but I don't think I'm cursed. So it's like I live in the moment, even if it's something that my house burned down. I don't know. It's like it's a lot for me to say. So
Yeah.
for me, I just live in the moment and I just
These are things
hope
that
for the
we can't.
best.
These are things, Ash, that we cannot know ahead of time.
Yeah. It's unforeseen.
We cannot. So we need to know. We need to have a way to go forward into someplace that we can't see. It has to work. And what you're describing is what everybody really goes through. Now, some people think again that that their religion will do that for them. It'll allow them to go forward and answer all the questions of their life as they go forward. And that's one way to approach it. That's one way. Basically, that's leaving it up to someone else to form your decisions for you. That's what religion has done. On the other hand, if a person wants to guide themselves with principles that they've picked up from the Christ or even other, see, those principles, guiding principles, go back way before Jesus, that are just like Jesus Christ's principles. They're just like them. He's not the first one with them. They
If I could, so are you done, Fran or Joe?
go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
So this is probably a little different thought. When I
Okay.
first started waking up, I always had questions about the Bible itself. So I went to the library and I went online. I did a lot of deep dive. I could have done more, but I got my answers about the Bible itself. So if you're a religious person, a Christian, based where your faith is based on the Bible, what you're basically saying is that you have faith in the men who compiled these books, who wrote these letters, whatever, the men who compiled them, who decided, yes, these are going to be in the Bible canon because God directed them to be written. But of course, we don't have the original manuscripts of anything. So now you're saying, I have faith that everyone who translated, copied, had anything to do along the way, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of copies, but they all did it just right, so that I can know and understand, going back 2,000 years to when this person Jesus walked the earth. I can go back even farther to when and understand when man was created in this story of the Garden of Eden. I have faith that this book and the men, always men, who were used in writing it and translating it over and over again, copying it. The copyists didn't even understand what they were copying. They simply were copying, making copies of something.
Yeah.
And there were errors that were made by the copyists, not intentional necessarily. So faith, when you speak about faith, you have to put faith in that book, and everyone who had anything to do with it, everyone whose hands were ever on that book, you have to believe that it was done correctly. So it is.
So Annie, I'm going to interrupt you. What did you have to give up in order to follow that?
What did I have to give up?
In order to follow
I no longer believe the Bible is the inerrant word of God.
I understand, but I mean before that, what did you have to give up in order to follow that?
Oh, I had to give up a prescribed belief that had been imposed on me and start questioning and do my own research.
Position yourself before where you had faith in the Bible.
When you were a witness.
What did you give up in order to take on faith in the Bible? Who's going to make decisions in your life?
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Well, with me, I decided that I was going to stop listening to other people and start doing my own research.
But before that, you had to give up listening to yourself.
Right.
I see.
Yeah.
You mean before I started? Yes. I didn't give it up because I never had it, because I was a born-in, so I never gave it up. This is what I knew as.
Okay.
So you had to take
it on. You had to take it on.
Yeah.
I had to take charge.
Yeah. In fact, you had to.
But my deep dive led me to believe that no, this book, any more than if you're a Mormon, you have faith that Book of Mormon was given to this person.
Yeah.
They were totally honest. They had no ulterior motives. There was no outside influence, like governmental influence, like there was with the Bible, lots of governmental influence. So when your eyes are open to all this stuff and you begin to question all of it, people can believe what they want to believe. Doesn't matter to me. And people will believe what brings comfort to them.
So would you say we had a fair test of how valuable the Bible and religions would be in people's lives? Do you think several thousand years is a fair chance to find out?
Yeah, well, I think it's kind of proven itself.
It's proven itself. Exactly. In other words, we have evidence of its effectiveness and of its value, and people
Yes.
basically are voting with their feet. They're voting
Right.
with their feet and realize, no, this thing sucks.
And
Yeah.
I'll say something that I do feel that there's parts of the Bible
Oh yeah.
that are helpful,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
for
Oh,
good
yes, I
living,
agree.
for to be a
Oh,
good person.
sure.
So I don't throw the baby away with the I don't throw away the baby with the bathwater.
No, I agree. And I've always said I have no complaints with the example Jesus set, if whether it's real or not. The things that are in those books of the Bible where he taught the things he taught.
Right.
But
I
just
have no
know
problem.
this: those principles that he taught
Mm-hmm.
go
Were-
back thousands of years
Yes.
before him.
Yeah, I know that's true too now. I didn't
He's
know
not
that.
He's not the originator of them.
Right.
And there are other people, there are other men, there are other circumstances where basically he probably learned them from.
Right.
Yeah.
So this idea that the Christ, the anointed, basically, in my mind, he was basically giving us an example of who we are.
Yeah.
Not animals, but one of God. We're of God, as opposed to an animal creation who's of the animal creation. We're not of the animal. We're of.
And of course, he was of Jewish descent. He knew the history. He knew the history of his forefathers on this earth.
Yeah.
And it wasn't good.
Yeah.
It's so complex. It's
Well, it
so
is.
complex.
But
is
see,
very
they've made
complex.
it that way. They've
No.
made it that way. They've made it that way because they want to trip people up and they just want to confuse people.
Who made it
thinking-
that way?
The ones who want to dominate you.
The religions or the
Men, whoever it
The
is,
men?
the men that want to dominate you. All the time that man has
He
dominated
is
man
to his
to
injury.
his injury.
Yeah.
Well, guess how they did it? Through government and religion.
government and
Yes.
religion? Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. Absolutely.
That's it. It's
Absolutely.
proven. We don't need to say, well, I think it has. It's done it. It's proven. We've lived it. We're talking about it. We've seen it. We have examples of it. And we're going to watch. We're going to watch things change about this too. We're going to watch things happen. Powerful things happen. So the
I've
question
always
becomes,
believed in those miracles. I
well,
would always look forward to the miracle. The
Yeah.
miracle.
yeah,
The
And
And dead
miracles
ones
happen
lived
every day
again.
around us. In my belief, I see miracles all the time. I mean, just the fact that it still exists in my view. But I think that when you step back and don't let the domination happen to you, you don't let, no matter how you believe, like for me, I read my own Bible, I make my own determination.
So you're saying, Seth,
And
that you enforce your own sovereignty.
Yeah, it's my sovereignty. If
You
I
have to
decided to
enforce
throw
it.
it,
You have to.
if I decided to throw it all away and get rid of it tonight, I can. If I want to dive deeper into it,
Yeah.
I can.
Yep.
It's up to
Yep.
me. If I wanted to return to the JW, I
Yep.
could. That would be a stupid decision, but I
Yep.
could.
Yep. Yep. And your decision.
Everyone has their own sovereignty.
Yeah. And I think that's what people are coming to understand. In other words, it doesn't work out well when I give up my right to make decisions for myself. It doesn't make sense when I have to take on someone else's truth that isn't true and shove my knowledge of what's true aside and make myself a liar. Because that's
And
what
you
it's
have
boiled
to-
down to.
You have to pay the consequences too.
Yeah.
Well,
a
that's
principle.
the thing about a religion, you know. If it's your
Yep.
religion, you gotta, know what rules you're gonna follow in your religion. What, it's
Now,
like a game
Ash,
to me.
I'm going to correct you, Ash. You mean it's the religion that you subscribe to?
Right.
It's not your religion. It's the
Unless
religion that you subscribe to.
Unless
Like-
you have your own and you are your own religion.
That's different. No, that's different.
That is
In
different.
other words, you can get a subscription to a magazine that comes to your house or whatever. It's not your magazine,
No,
but you have a subscription to it. Now, if you made
is
up a
correct.
magazine and published it and printed it out and mailed it out, now that's your magazine.
Well, I'm not going to be doing that. No.
I
mean,
understand.
if people are going to be, getting to know me and stuff, I'm going to tell them, what I believe, that's my religion. I
Yeah,
escaped the cult.
okay. I get it. I get that.
I'm not an atheist. I'm not a Christian. I believe that there's an afterlife, but maybe there's not an afterlife.
And you know what?
Maybe life is just a mystery. I don't know. I'm just
and
living in the moment.
And neither you nor they have to be certain about what that is. You don't have to be certain. You do not have to be certain about it. Life is an unfolding adventure.
Can we say hello to Pasta Babe? Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Hello, Linda.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Thank
How
you
are
for
you?
joining.
Thank you.
Hello, Pasta Babe. Nice seeing you.
It's good to see you too. Yeah, I'm having a problem with the whole respecting men in a patriarchal manner.
Honestly,
Does this
I have
not
a
surprise
problem.
anybody?
Honestly,
I mean, all you
I have a
see is
problem.
just men on stage. It's pretty
I never respected those men in that
misogynistic.
situation. I never did. Never did.
That's good to
I would
hear
never
from
see a
another man.
woman on stage
I
talking.
never
I would
did.
never see
I
it.
truly mean that. I truly mean that.
I
The
think
truth is, after Jesus died and there were gatherings, the women ran the house and put that stuff together. They organized the gatherings. I believe that scripture that says from house to house and door to door was going to the different homes of the believers, and the
Yeah.
women set things up for the gatherings, and they
Yeah.
wanted it to be in different places because they were on the down low.
Yeah.
Christianity was not popular at the time of Jesus's death and and after. People did, they were hiding out.
That's right.
And
That's
it
right.
was that way for quite a while, and then the men took over, and that's part of how culture was. But again, like, we as women used to be property
Mhm.
of the men. So we took on their last name because
Look,
we were their
you
property,
know how
and the children we bore for them were exactly that for them, and took on their last name.
a pasta babe, and if you back then didn't have a baby, how valuable were you?
I was useless. I would have been useless.
You kicked aside.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only my value would have been only for what I could do for the man. And when you think about it, a woman's body is really created to nurse the children and receive the man, right? For the pregnancies, right? So even in the Bible, it says God created Eve to be a helper, not an independent thinker on her own, and maybe even have a few goals she might want to follow. No, we were here and created to be a helper to the man.
A compliment.
Yeah. I have yet to have, and I tried really hard, because I believed that whole being.
Like propaganda. It's all
Yeah.
propaganda.
I mean, I tried that.
Right?
And so I have yet to see a patriarchal culture
Wow.
work well. To me, at this point of my life, and what I've seen and what I've experienced, is basically that kind of a culture sets up women for abuse. Okay. And accepted abuse and expected abuse. And if the woman complains, go home and be a better wife.
It goes a pasta babe, it goes so far to say not only women for abuse, but also the children.
Yes.
Both. To that extent. It's totally failed. Because you have to ask yourself, how is it and why is it that this problem with abuse like that is so rampant and widespread among the whole population?
Well,
Why?
if God's backing it up, why would it stop?
Because
Really?
men don't get pregnant. That's why.
Correct.
Men don't get
They
pregnant.
don't get
and
pregnant.
So they don't get it. They don't get it that you're going to be in the hospital going through labor, and then you can't go to the court and say that the doctor messed your baby up. So it's like, you know, they seem like, oh, I won this money and shit. Sorry. Anyway,
I feel
need to
you.
shut up. I need to shut
No,
up.
but I hear you. I was pregnant with my third child, 2 small toddlers. My husband gets home from work. My labor pains had already started, and it takes a while till it's time for you to give birth, right? I knew that I needed to take a nap and eat something far before the time of delivery. And so my husband just looked at me and said, "Nope, I'm going to sleep." I never got a nap because the kids are my responsibility. I was asking his permission. Get that. And this is not even the JW case. This was how I was trained to be a good wife, even after I left the org. I was like, I need to take a nap. Can I please take a nap? Like, so he knew he had the realm of independence. He wanted to do something, he could get up and go. If I wanted to do something, I had to request for him to watch the kids so I could do
I
something.
have to ask my wife a lot, though. I ask her permission to take a nap, and I ask her. So
Since when?
wait a second.
I find that's really hard to believe, Seth. But okay, if you want to go there. I mean,
It is true, though. It is true.
Mhm.
Well,
Okay.
I think I do. But
Okay.
Apostle babe, I have
And
to.
I know you've worked on switching a few things up, Seth, and I just admire that about you. So, good for you. Go ahead, Joe.
I think the only good thing that's going to come out of any of these negative experiences that not only you've had, we've had, Ash, Seth, everyone here, they're negative experiences. The only good thing can come out of it is that we reframe our lives the way we need to.
Yes.
Otherwise we're going to be bitter people.
And I think I'm struggling with that, even as I'm listening to the show. Like, I'm realizing I'm being triggered, but okay.
It's
What are you
almost
being triggered about?
it's almost inevitable, but it's possible to pass
My
it.
experience of respecting the man,
Yes.
how I actually positioned myself in a position to be screwed over. Now,
Right.
did I pick the wrong man? Of course I did. So,
Well, you also picked the wrong approach. Possibly. See, you picked the wrong approach because
correct.
See, I'm not blaming you. I'm saying that approach worked out badly.
Correct. It's like learned helplessness.
Yeah.
Learned that he had all the power and I had none.
You gave it to him. You gave it to him.
This I won't take. This I will not accept, Joe. If someone never had it, and I'm pissed off as I'm saying it now.
That's okay.
If you were born in, sir,
Yep.
we never freaking had it to give away.
It's all you had. It's all you had.
All we had was you are the woman, you are to submit to the man, and the men within the culture are raised to you're the man, and they rise them up to condition them to be the leaders.
How do you blame?
It's a privilege.
How do you blame who do you blame? What do you do for a remedy? Where's the remedy? I want to see it. What's the remedy?
Just the way I'm living my life today.
Okay. That's
so
beautiful. And that's
before, thank you. Before I can remember within that patriarchal culture being taught that, the man's going to have to answer to God for what he's told me to do. And I was supposed to be loyal and obedient and follow his directions. And that's a good wife. I just didn't buy that. In my mind, I was going to stand before the Lord for my own actions. And I didn't think for a minute that he was going to be responsible for my own actions. I'm just not buying into that. But I tried super hard too, it's the Bible. I was still believing the Bible is totally accurate. And, so I really tried hard to be a good patriarchal everything. But, when I realized how, and I'm taking I'm taking accountability for the part I played in it. I can now look back and say, like what you said, I took the wrong approach, but I was trained and conditioned to take the wrong approach, and it was labeled being a good wife. Even though I was out of the org, I kept thinking I'm being a good submissive wife.
Yeah.
And so it was literally giving him the message, here I am, I'm positioning myself to shit all over me.
I'm the doormat.
Let me
Yeah.
move there
I'm the
again.
doormat. You can walk
Yes.
on me.
You
Yes.
gotta, yep, you're right. You're right.
And if he had a different personality, maybe that wouldn't have been that way. But guess what? I grew up in a cult, which are led by high control, high demand, narcissistic people. Guess what I found in the world and attracted in the world?
Yeah, same thing.
Yes, because
Narcissists. So,
that's what you were familiar with, Linda. That's what you
right.
were
And
comfortable with. That's all you knew.
Well, pasta
yes.
babe, that's something that I went through as well, but I don't regret marrying my ex. I actually am glad that I married him, and my story's different.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Hmm.
Oh,
I just want to say. I just want to say.
That's a good
Apostle-
one. I'm gonna make that one a 10. You got a 10 for that one, Ash.
Apostle babe, I just want to say that you and all of us are way more than the sum of our experiences. You're way more than that.
Thank you.
You're way more than the sum of your experiences.
I think I needed to be reminded of that. Thank you.
And not all men.
We all need to remind ourselves of that and each other.
Yes, we are
I
better
totally
than
agree.
we are better than what they treated us. Yeah, we are.
Right. And not all men are like that either. Not all men just
You're right. Yeah.
like go ahead and like, oh yeah, this is what the Bible says, so now you got to be submissive and obedient to me because I'm your husband. Like, not all men are like that. Like my ex, he was very considerate of me. He was like, Ash, think for yourself. Like, how do you really feel about this? He didn't say that, oh, you're my wife and you got to submit to me because you're a woman. Like, he wanted me to think for myself. He wanted me to have critical thinking. And
Yeah.
not all men are like that.
Everything you said about him has always been good. Like when I think about him, I think about him as a good man. Like that's not why you left him. You didn't leave him because he wasn't a good man. He was a good man, but then you had to, take that road that you had to take, which I didn't take until I was 41, because I fought that for years and years. I tried to be straight for years. And then it was just finally, I'm like, okay, this is so not working. So I actually admire, Ash, that you are at the age you're at, and you came out before I did. And I'm proud of you for that, And here we are.
Well, I'm proud of you too for
during
what
Pride
you're
Month.
doing too. Like that, I see what you're doing too. Like being young, I'm lucky, and I can't, being in your position like that breaks my heart. But at the same time, you're still young. You are still like I'm also proud of you as well, because it's not easy to just come out like this, because we've been taught, everybody's been taught that this is the way.
Culturally and religiously it wasn't accepted. And speaking of the Bible, like Annie was talking about, it's been copied and copied and copied. The word homosexual didn't get put into the Bible until 1948 of the last century. So it wasn't always in there as a forbidden thing, and yeah, I'm not trying to get all heavy on that, but still it's, is the Bible trustable?
Apostle
Yes.
babe, I did not know that. How did you find that out?
Because when I was a Christian, and I was struggling with my crisis of conscience, which was I was a lesbian, and God's not okay with that. I had to do some real deep studying about the culture of homosexuality, how it's come about, and when the word got put into the Bible, it was done during a certain translation of a certain Bible, and they've, there's a.
Was that the Catholic Church? It must have been the Catholic Church, because they were the ones who designed the Bible.
No, you're right. They did the canon in 300, 400, but this was within the last century. It's kind of it's a certain standard Bible. I'm sorry, I don't remember what it is. So there's a gal named Kathy Baldock, and she has she's a straight Christian. Her and her husband were at a place where they broke up or whatever. He left her, and she found herself in life around all these people, and some of them were homosexuals. And she says about herself, I was one of those that I could take you from, hell to heaven in like 7 minutes. I knew the gospel, blah blah blah. She was very much a Christian, grounded in her Bible. But then she found people in her life that made her question, well, gosh, they're not just like people from the org, and we start to get to know somebody who's worldly. Oh, they're not demon possessed. Oh, they're not, they'll look upon somebody that's gay that, oh, they're not like on the back of the flap or in their speedos and their, feathers and stuff. Not every gay person's like that. Stereotype stuff, right? So, so she started getting into studying, and she's actually did a whole thing of history, and she's a straight, remember in 2018 when the Watchtower came out with a video about Sally, beautiful gal that went, one of the videos is she went into a store and
Yes,
people were
I
trying to
remember.
hand her the rainbow
Right.
bracelet. Did you want to wear it now, or would you like it in the
Yes.
bag? And
Yeah.
and poor Sally, being a devout Jehovah's Witness, couldn't understand why they're trying to hand her a rainbow bracelet,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which is the sign of being, somebody who supports that culture or the community or is part of the community. And then she looked around and realized she's in a store that's promoting a campaign that's raising money for the LGBTQ plus community. And she's like, oh no, it was devastating for her to come to that realization. So what they did was, rather than having to straight up say homosexuality is bad, because the Watchtower has come to a place of knowing that people were in fact born that way, so they don't take that angle anymore. What they did was they made an ally, a Christian ally, into a bad person. So the Christian ally lady who was at the check stand said, do you have a problem with them? What's the problem? Like, reprimanded her,
Right.
so that, we would expect persecution if we didn't accept the gay community and then she gets her nerve up and says, I'm a Bible reader and I believe, marriage should be between a man and a woman. And okay, she stood up for her faith. But what they did was they took an ally and made her out to be a bad person. So that's when I chose to come out to the community. I was never going to come out to my audience. I didn't think it was a smart idea. I thought it would just be a distraction. But when that video came out in 2018, I came out to my audience and I made a video about it. And then it featured Kathy Baldock, who is an actual Christian woman that is an actual ally for the LGBTQ community. And she never thought she'd be there, but with her, when she found people in her life that were gay and did her own studies, it had changed. And so when I did some studying too, it had changed too. That God's actually okay with it. I came to that conclusion.
Living truthfully.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I feel like God is accepting me for who I am, because I want to be living this life doing what I'm doing right now. If God's really justice, like.
Well, the thing is if the Christian community can call this a choice, like we chose to be gay, then they can look at us and go, listen, you're choosing to be bad. You could just as easily choose to be straight. And as if it's a rebellion, which I did choose to be straight for 41 years. It just wasn't working.
I guess for me, I never thought of homosexuality as being like, I thought of it being bad, like not as a like being straight. Like I thought as a young girl, I really did thought that I would see because in that religion, you imagine yourself with the love of your life in Paradise Earth, which is the ideal straight couple. But I viewed it as the, homosexual couple in Paradise Earth. That's what I believe. And
that's amazing that you could look forward to that. I never even got that far. That's pretty
like
awesome.
being raised as a Jehovah's Witness, I believe that that either I could take care of the animals and be with the love of my life, which is, of the same sex. And it was crushed because my parents said that the Bible says You can't be gay. So
Yeah, right,
that's
right.
when I became bisexual, because I thought to myself, if I'm going to be real about this, I got to marry a man.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the hope. So I tried that, but eventually I realized that I'm actually gay, and that right there, I think, is a beautiful sight to see, because I see it everywhere here. I mean, it's not harmful. It's love. It's not,
See,
I've been taught about unconditional love. So it's like, I'm not harming her and she's not harming me. So it just makes sense that, to me, that it's okay to be gay.
see,
Mm-hmm.
I've got to say, through hearing all this and seeing how everything else came from the Bible, there's something called weaponizing something.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you can take something that's neutral and you can weaponize it by the way it's perceived and the way it's presented and the way value judgments are made by it. You weaponize it. Well,
Yes.
the men who wrote the Bible and whatever have basically weaponized gender roles and gender preferences. They've weaponized it. There's no reason to have weaponized it. There's no reason except to have disturbed a situation that they can then come in and control.
Correct.
That's how they roll. They make
I
problems and then they roll in and say, "Hey, we're going to solve this problem." But they
right.
made the problem. They made the
Correct. Correct. And they probably had the best mindset. Like, they didn't come in as, how can I screw over our culture, and be absolutely mean, but just very discounting. I had something I was going to say. It's going to come to me later. You were talking about the men. Okay. Now I remember. There was also a video that the organization did called "Remember the Wife of Lot."
problem.
Right?
Oh, that's terrible.
That
Yes.
the beautiful Asian couple, right?
Yeah.
And she was a pretty good mom. He was a really good dad. But if you notice, within that video, he would reprimand her in front of the kids. Like, he would be telling her off, like, not telling her off, but just letting her know that we have enough. We have enough. Like, she should not be working because they have enough. So she was going above his headship to go get a job as a real estate person, okay, to make some extra money. And she was also influenced by her worldly mother, who talked about her childhood where she had nothing, and today she's got shoes that actually match her purse, and wanted her to call Uncle so and so. He's got the real estate business. Let him get you a job, So she chose to go to real estate school and was looked upon from the Jehovah's Witness mindset as, going over the head of her household, her husband's desires to go be a real estate agent. And then what happened? A homosexual man whom you never saw his face made her late for the memorial.
No.
Remember that?
That was her uncle? Was it her uncle?
Her uncle gave her a job at a real estate business.
Yeah, but he was the one that almost made her late.
No, that's somebody else.
Oh, really?
That she worked with. They would
Was she showing a piece of property to him? I'm trying to remember.
It was like another person that worked at the real estate place, and she was at a house, but she couldn't leave because it was like an open house where people would come in and look at it. She couldn't leave that until her workmate.
Until he got there. He was running late, and he was portrayed as gay in the film. Okay. He was portrayed as gay, and so it made her late to get to the memorial.
Right. So you only saw the back of his head. And then also they watched a commercial where a gay couple with two men bought a house, and her mother was like so happy about, maybe it was a TV show or maybe it was a commercial. And she was like, how, the JW lady was, how can you be happy for that? Like, that's really bad, So the doctrine of teaching that teaching. But anyways, let's go to Proverbs 31. Okay. That's supposed to be the perfect wife. Now, this woman never existed, but if somebody was going to be the perfect wife, that would be the Proverbs 31 wife, which by the way, I jokingly say I'm a Proverbs 32 woman. I get up late and I have my kids serve me coffee. That's my joke. But a Proverbs 31 woman had people working for her. Her husband worked in the gates, which meant he was probably into politics. He was revered as a man of the city, right? Her kids would rise up and praise her. She had people working under her for her business. She saw a piece of land and bought it with her own money. This is a Proverbs 31 woman, but somehow the wife of Lot was being very, very bad for being a real estate agent, right?
Pastor Dave, I was born in to show
Mhm.
how affected I was by that scripture. I always wanted to be the best wife I could be. I hand wrote Proverbs 31 and hung it on my refrigerator as a reminder. When outside my door, I put a note, please remove your shoes when you come in, and I signed it, an aspiring, capable wife.
I love
I'll
that.
take that one step further
I
to
love
tell
that.
you how the organization does teach young men to take control. When
Mhm.
I married this beautiful lady right here, I wrote her name in those scriptures where it said, capable or whatever. So, and that's the Bible. I burned that one because when I left, I was awful angry. And I New World Translation is kind of wacko anyway. But I wrote her name in beside each one of those things.
Wow.
So to take it a step further, I wanted her to be that Proverbs 31.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so, yeah, I thought it did, but it didn't. I swore the wedding vows told
What
her
did
to
she just
obey
say?
me.
Yes, the wedding vows did tell her to obey you.
Ours did not.
No,
I thought they
not
did.
at all. No,
But
it never says for a man to obey a woman ever.
yeah.
See, in a patriarchy, I don't think I'm saying it right. Culture? No, no. Mm-mm. And like today's a different world. And yes, I mean, it took 100 years just for we as women, 100 years of suffrage, that suffrage movement, just to be able to vote. Okay, Russell, who founded this organization, was mad at his wife for wanting to have to be in other words, at that time he owned all the money, even though she was working full time and wrote a lot of things out for him. She was doing quite a lot of work, maybe even 70% of the work for the watchtower at that time. And so, but she had no rights. So when she wanted to have some, like, he got ill and she would go around and fill in for him and speak for him at different congregations. And when she got back, he accused her of being too proud. So it was hard for him to have a woman be in a position higher than below him.
Boy, you're talking about the abuses of culture, and the
Mhm.
culture or cult that we're all a part of. It's absolutely abusive. Now, you're all getting over it one way or the other. Pasta Babe, I know you said it triggered you. I know. I know. And I feel for you for that. I've got triggers that do me, and it's like, okay. I don't want to die with those triggers. I really
Precisely.
don't. I don't.
But I like to mention them, especially to this community, because I know others are having triggers too, and I want them to know that that's actually part of our healing and actually really normal. So I like to mention them.
The mountain has to be climbed. That's the
Mhm.
ascension. That's ascension, and the only way we're going to get ascend above, we're going to climb. We're going to do some climbing, and that's how you're doing it, by the expressions and talking about it and exposing. It is, and I appreciate that.
Can I just welcome Kevin and Marissa? They've been so patient and waiting. Hi,
Hello,
Kevin.
And
Nice
Marissa.
everybody. Good to see you guys again. Hi.
I met them one day, and they were just such an amazing couple to me. And Kevin was like showing me some stuff on his phone and just being a really good guy. So I picture him being one of the good guys.
He is definitely right.
I just do. I don't think every man out there is like, terrible people. I just think that I've found the terrible ones, But anyways, I'll shut up now.
No. You don't. Yeah.
You're right.
Pastor Babe, keep telling us, because honestly, we need to know. We need to know, because for something like that to go secret, it makes it powerful.
Right.
When you express it, it gets diminished a little
That's
more.
right. It gets
each time.
smaller. Yep.
It diminishes.
I'll never forget a friend of mine was explaining to me after a friend of mine in Arizona that we've been able to reconnect after all these years. He's been out of the organization at least 17, 18 years. He explained to me something in a book he read once, and I thought, wow, this perfectly explains this. When you break up with somebody, whatever it is, the situation in whatever abusive relationship or whatever you have, whether or not it's abusive or not, there's a dance that you're doing. And that dance is what you both were doing. And guess what? You're going to continue to do those dance steps until you learn to break free from that movement that you're doing. And you're going to attract people that are doing the same dance step. So
Totally.
it reminds me that we got to start a new path after when you're starting something, whether it's leaving the organization or whatever, you have to break out from that pattern that you've been doing and draw new positive people to you.
Change your dance.
Does anyone know? Does anyone like any of Jackson Brown's music?
Oh yeah.
Look up "For a Dancer." For a Dancer, and the lyrics in that, and see what those lyrics mean to you. For a dancer.
I'm sorry, guys.
Oh.
You back home or somewhere?
Yeah, I'm sorry. My phone turned off and it died.
Oh, there you are. Okay, that's okay.
Looked like you were getting wind blown where you were.
Yeah.
Well, look, I appreciate everything that's happened here. You're taking such good care of each other, and that's why we're here. It's the only reason why we're here is because you're taking good care of each other, and I appreciate that.
People ask us, and people are worried because, we get phone calls and we go through this all the time, and we hear people's stories, and they say, don't you get triggered, or don't you get tired of hearing people, or don't you get down? And honestly, we don't, because we know how to deflect it off of us. We don't take on all the negativity. We know that it's something that they're going through, and they're going to get through it. And by connecting them with other people,
it works.
It helps them.
It just works.
And
you're proving it.
So
you all are proving that it works.
So just to let you know, we're okay.
Yeah.
And we love to hear from you, either calling up, texting, an email. Don't hesitate.
And you're connecting with each other.
That's the biggest thing.
Like this, and even otherwise outside, it works. So
yeah.
I'm glad we're doing what we're doing.
Yes.
That's good to hear that you guys have that mindset, because it protects you rather than having that sense of taking it on. And
no,
that's good.
No, the strength lies within all of us. It does. We share it. Everyone receives it.
Yeah, and another thing that we found that was helpful is journaling. I've already received a couple of journals from folks writing their story. It really helps. You can write it however, but handwritten, they say, is even more therapeutic than typing it on a computer. A computer is very impersonal, but if you actually handwrite it out, print it, whatever you want to do, and do something about your story and write it out.
And give it to someone you respect.
Yeah.
Who loves you.
Yeah.
Fran, it's funny you said that about handwriting versus computer, because I read that there's something in the actual writing of it that does something to the neurocircuitry in our brain. And the other thing is, if you're doing a gratitude journal, it's really important that you not just say, oh, I'm grateful Joe and Fran, invited me and I'm on today. You say, I'm grateful that they invited me, because you say the reason why you're grateful, and you write that down, because afterwards I felt so uplifted and they're so warm, and I felt connected to everybody in the room, and I felt really good. And that changes your brain. So you express the gratitude, what you're grateful for and why you're grateful.
Marissa, I have to say, because I watch you on Facebook, and Marissa is taking care of her aged parents, and your father has dementia, and you write such beautiful things, and it's very, you don't pussyfoot around. You tell it like it is, what's going on, what he's doing, but yet you have such a beautiful attitude towards it. And I truly admire you for that. I'm glad you are on tonight, because I wanted to let you know.
Oh, thank you for your kind words. Yeah, my dad, he's got Alzheimer's, late stage Alzheimer's. And he's my mom is older than him, and she doesn't have any cognition impairment, but we didn't come last weekend because we were sick. And when somebody with Alzheimer's has a virus or they're sick, their delusions and their hallucinations increase. So I was up with him last night at 2 a.m. until 5 because he was just redecorating his entire room. Putting stuff in the toilet. I mean, he just gets really active.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in my family weren't aware of exactly what we did for the last 8 years. So it's been, I've had a lot of support from friends and people I grew up with, and it's been a real blessing.
Do keep sharing. Do keep sharing it.
Thank you.
Can I say one more thing before we leave? Or if I just want to mention one last thing. I am proud to be who I am. Like, I am proud to say that I can say this, that I am a woman that likes women, and I'm not ashamed, nor do I feel like I'm doing something wrong or sinful, like certain other topics that I don't want to say. But I want to say that because it's not like I'm doing anything that, the P word. I'm going to say the P word.
Yes, that gets associated, unfortunately. Yeah.
I am proud, and I'm an adult, and I'm freely saying this. Like, this is literally happening right now. I'm literally saying that I'm proud to be gay.
Well, we appreciate you being honest.
Yes.
And
I know that's really, really hard, huh? What's your first name, Fallen Ashes?
Ash.
So when did you come out? Like when you left the organization, or you always knew?
I always knew. And let me tell you, I have conversations, evidence of me talking to my family about this. Like, I reminisced with my parents recently, actually. I said, do you guys remember this time when I was this age? Like, I was, I think, around 12 or 13 when I had my first crush on a girl.
Oh.
And it was in middle school. And she was actually going to the Kingdom Halls. And she would sit in the meetings, and like sometimes we would sit with each other at the meeting, and that meant a lot to me because that's the only time I can actually be genuine and real in how I feel like with a friend at that age, at 13, being raised in that religion. I thought that we're going to live in paradise. My arm is going to be fixed. Isn't this cool? Isn't this a good thing? And you can fall in love, and you can take care of the animals. Like, I genuinely had a crush on her, and well, she didn't feel the same, but I felt like a weirdo. I felt like a monster because my parents told me I shouldn't feel that way. I should not be desiring her in that kind of way. It's as bad as what the P word is. It's sinful, right? It's wrong. And you are to be shamed for that. So it made me feel like this animal or this monster that was like, yeah, you're right. I look like.
Yeah, see, that's the weaponizing.
Anyway.
That's how it's weaponized.
That's what they used against me. So I tried. Anyway, that's when I realized it. To answer your question simply and to stop, because I can talk a lot. To answer your question, yes, I realized it at a very young age, even before 13. I'm just telling you an experience that, but I've always liked girls since I was a little girl.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because in the congregation, I would always tell Kevin, even before we got married, I just knew who had a leaning, you know, towards homosexuality. There were clear indications. Like we had a couple of brothers in fact, when I was growing up, when I was a young girl, there were two brothers that were homosexuals that lived in the world and they became witnesses. And one of them died of AIDS, and I got really close to him. So I was never like homophobic like a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses are. But I could, you know, we had an elder in our congregation who is sure as the day is long. I am 99.9% sure he is homosexual. He's pushing 40. He's single. And I would always tell Kevin, honey, can you imagine wanting to love somebody and hug somebody and hold their hand, and you can't because you got to wait till paradise until Jehovah fixes you. I'm like, that must be the most painful. I mean, my heart would ache because as far as I'm concerned, the one thing in life that I think everybody wants is to feel loved. And right? I mean, that we want to feel connected to another human. So my heart goes out to you and to Linda and
thank you.
Everybody who has had to hide that part of their soul.
Thank you.
So they could be accepted, you know, and loved, ultimately just loved by their family. So what a gift it is, Ash, that you can say you're proud, you know, that you can
Thank
stand
you so
here
much.
before people that you know are going to accept you for who you are. And I know when I left the organization, I don't know how anybody else felt, but it was really weird to see two women or two men holding hands. Even though I was pretty liberal, it was still weird. And Kevin would be like, I don't want to see them kissing.
You know
I don't
what's
want to watch
funny?
this show.
It was weird for me too.
Weird. Yeah.
I thought it was weird for me too, and I knew I was a lesbian. So I had not become accustomed to seeing that either.
Yep. I agree with you, Linda. And also,
to believe it was an abomination. Kevin wouldn't even let me see Modern Family. Do you remember Modern Family? I
cartoon,
loved
yes.
that show. And he'd be like, nope, I don't want you, you know, I don't want that in my home. The demons are going to come into the house. And I'm like, Kevin, it's the funniest, lightest show. Nope.
But not only that, like what I thought was even more weird was gay men. Like I thought, oh, gay woman, that's okay. But I thought gay men was really weird.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like I don't know, like is that something that you guys feel? You feel me? I don't know. Am I the only one? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't feel that way anymore.
I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. It's just, I don't know.
And
I don't feel that way anymore, though.
This is the reason why we call this month Pride Month, because the history that has been of this community is we had to be on the down low, like they used to meet in places called speakeasies. So they would be like little bars or whatever away from everybody. And the police officers would come and bust them, and then they would dox them, and they would lose their jobs because it would be put in the paper. So we needed to be very ashamed. We had to hide. We had to hide. That the terminology in the closet meant we could not be who we were in public for whatever reason, abomination, mental illness, whatever it was considered.
Undercover, you know, a lot of stuff. My brother was gay, so I think that's another reason I was very liberal, because I didn't want him like to be tainted and evil. He was a wonderful man, and he
yourself.
one of my first apartments I got on my own. I was living upstairs from one of his very dear friends who was also gay, and he had a in Huntington Beach, Linda, where you live, and he had a on Florida Street. He had a fake eye, like like the one that would pop out, big beautiful blue eye. And when he was younger, somebody found out he was gay. He was the nicest, kindest, sweetest man on earth. I mean, he was the best neighbor. And I'd go down there and we'd chat and hang out. Well, somebody knocked on his door and stabbed him in the eye because he was gay.
Oh my goodness, that's
So he had
horrible.
a glass eye. So the hatred,
That's what you
there's a
should do
lot
to
of people-
pedophiles.
a lot of people are very afraid of talking about sex. They're afraid of their sexuality, depending on their age. They're ashamed if they have feelings. They don't know how to discuss it. And so if they see that's what I was telling Kevin the other day. I said, think about all this hate that you see. The more hate you see, I personally believe the more confusion sexually they have, the more confused they are. Because when you are cool with who you are, like I know who I am, I'm straight. So I can see 2 lesbians and 2 gay men, and I'm okay with that. But if you get agitated, there's something going on inside of you. So I'm like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yes, there was a man called Harvey Milk, and he was a politician here in California. He himself was assassinated, shot dead. And have you ever heard of the story, the Twinkie case, meaning they ate too many Twinkies and that was the excuse they used for shooting someone? That's his case.
Yeah.
That is his case. So the person that shot him is he shot him and somebody else. So it was a political situation. I can't say it was because he was gay, but he went to court with, I ate too many Twinkies. And that's why he assassinated these 2 people. Harvey Milk being one of them.
Night.
They love you.
Night, beautiful.
Good night.
Love you, friends. Night,
Well,
night.
have a nice birthday on Friday.
Bye, Felicia.
And when are you going to be 2 years old?
We're going to remain on. I'm just going to put him to bed.
Okay.
Night.
Night. I love you.
Good night.
Good night. Sweet dreams.
Bye-bye.
Sweet dreams.
Thank you.
Oh, God.
You're
That's
welcome.
it's just all kinds of adorable.
Mwah.
Ma.
Love those kisses. Mwah, blowing those kisses. Yummies. I caught one. Thank you.
Enjoy your night.
I just wanted to recognize Ruby. You've been quietly waiting. And San Diego just came on, but Ruby's been waiting a while.
Hi, Ruby.
Hi, Ruby.
Hi, Ruby.
Hey guys. Just wanted to make a quick comment and then San Diego can go on. I said this earlier in the chat too. And I think I also said this last Wednesday, is that a lot of our, negative past experiences can sometimes ruin that for us now in the future, like our views on marriage, our views of having kids, or even gender roles, or even, literally anything in life, because we used to view those things under a negative tone or a negative experience. And sometimes it would ruin it in the future for us. Even if we're out the cult, we change, our stances or our opinions. Sometimes it still bothers, and sometimes it can still ruin it for us in the future. And I noticed that a lot with the topic of Christianity, religion, just daily milestones in life or activities. And it took a long time to deconstruct those things. But after I deconstructed all the negativity out of it, then I got to see the flip side of it, the positive, the beauty of marriage or having kids or religion or Christianity, X, Y, and Z. There could be a whole list of it. But there's always like that good and evil type of mentality. like there's good and bad and everything, but I choose now to see the good. It's a choice now that I changed my mentality and my point of view on the very same subjects that we were taught to look at, maybe in a negative way, or we perceived it negatively.
Yeah, Ruby, I've got to tell you, maybe you're familiar with it. There's a young woman named Brittany, and her channel is No Nonsense Spirituality. And she discusses just that, the need for religion, but also the need for it to be really appropriate to help people in their real needs, rather than having been so negative. And so there's some great discussions going on there. It's called
Joe, she's my favorite. She's my favorite. I was thinking about her just now. Literally, I looked her up and then you said it. That's so funny. I love her.
What's her channel?
No Nonsense Spirituality.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I think she has a PhD, doesn't she?
Yeah, I believe so. It's so good to listen to her.
She's an ex-Mormon.
Yeah.
Very easy to listen to. Very excellent.
She's also called, I think she also refers to herself as a spiritual atheist.
Yeah.
Yep. Certified atheist spiritual director.
And things like this just opens our minds up. It opens our thinking up and opens our hearts up. And
You know what, though? I was scrolling the other day on YouTube, and I saw somebody that was an ex-Jehovah's Witness that is now a true Catholic. I don't know what kind of Catholic, but I looked at that and thought, I'm going to send that to Miss Ruby. She'd probably like to watch the videos, but I haven't looked at one yet to know if it's even worth sending. But I hear your comment of what you just said, and I can, thank you for sharing that comment.
Yeah, I saw an interview of ExJW on a Catholic channel, I think it was, and she was giving her exit story, and I shared it on Discord. That was like the very first story that I've seen, so I was like, oh, this might be a great flip side to see somebody that has re-entered a faith or religion, whatever you want to call it, because like last Wednesday when I was mentioning that I myself was looking for those types of people so that I can because I felt really very alone trying to navigate a new faith. Even though I thought I was a Christian, I realized I never was. But I wanted to be one, I wanted to learn it. So now I was curious. So I was looking for people, ExJWs, and I didn't really find any on the internet. So I found one or two, but it's really cool to see the like how somebody can deconstruct all that negativity and turn it into a positive.
Yeah. And to embrace another community. We met a couple that were from Washington, D.C., a young couple in their 20s, maybe about your age. I'm not sure how old you are. And they were disfellowshipped out here during COVID. And they went to every single meeting for a year, and they could not be reinstated. And all they did was make out before they got married. And so apparently when they left, their entire family, obviously disconnected from them, started shunning them. And they found me on Reddit. They said, we're in Orange County. Is there anybody out here? So we met with them a couple times, and they decided to move back east again. And they're the most lovely couple. And they're now Catholic. They got married in the Catholic Church. And I was like, wow, I felt really good for them. I'm a little jealous of people who can do that because I miss the community, and I was just so happy for them. I'm so happy that they found something.
Well, Ruby, I just thought I'd chime in here for just a second and say we went through that same thing. We went to look, I think we talked a little bit last Wednesday about that. But we made the decision, I think next month we're getting rebaptized or baptized for the first time, and as it were, because we really didn't feel Christian as JWs, but now we feel Christian, but we have separate beliefs, and that's okay. But we still feel like we're going to get baptized again. So
wow, that's nice.
So you're both Christian, and you're going to get baptized as Christian, but you have different beliefs?
Correct. Yeah, she believes certain things from her understanding of the Bible. I believe differently from my understanding, and so we have that unifying part of it, and as Christian, the Christian belief. But yeah, we made that decision, and we're excited about it.
That's
So, but it's
beautiful.
okay.
That's beautiful.
We're embracing our differences, though. We discuss it. Sometimes, I still get that JW mentality. Well, no, you're wrong. Here's
Yeah.
what the Bible says,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I have to be careful about that. Because
Wait,
that
you
is
you
that-
and Felicia are getting baptized?
yes.
And that's
That's
really
nice.
pretty cool. Even though I'm not religious, I mean, you
Yeah.
obviously are united in that endeavor, and it's working for you.
How's
And it's-
Felicia
yeah.
feel?
That's really cool.
Yeah, how do you feel? She's so shy.
Until you get to know me, then I don't shut up.
It's a big dedication.
It is. But we just know that on the inside, when we were both baptized as Jehovah's Witnesses, that was to an organization. We were baptized to an organization. We feel, and I'm using that word feel because I know everyone here feels differently about Christianity or the Bible.
Okay.
We feel this is our step to get closer to Jesus, as what we feel. And I still use God's name as Jehovah. She does not. And see, we have differences like that. I believe there is an earthly resurrection. I don't believe in two classes. I don't believe, anointed and earthly class. I don't do that. She believes everyone goes to heaven immediately when they die. We have different beliefs based on our understanding. I'm a Sabbath keeper. I like to keep the Sabbath. She does not. And that's okay. We can have different beliefs and still be Christian and still be united. Just as everyone on the screen here and everyone in the comments, we all have our different, and we can gather together and come together and really build each other up. And I really feel that as a somewhat of a new person here, I've been on a couple of weeks, probably a month or 2 months now. I leave here every time really happy.
Oh, yeah.
Look, the way you're going, you will both learn so much together that way. You will, because you're exposing each other to something that expands each other. That's beautiful.
I'm impressed that you're not, going by that whole "we must be evenly yoked" thing, and you're actually you're going, this is what I believe and this is what she believes, and you have respect for what she believes and says so. I'm so impressed with that, dude. I'm very impressed.
That is being evenly yoked, in my opinion. I think that is the evenly yoked part. I don't think it's marry only in the Lord, be evenly you don't be unevenly yoked. That doesn't mean you can't have your difference of opinion. That doesn't mean, I think it means something different than what the JWs taught or other mainstream Christian religions teach.
Hey, Seth, Joe has another song. He's got another song.
Oh, I always have musical references that come up, but my music experience goes way back. There's a few of you might know who I'm talking about. It's called The Lovin' Spoonful.
Yes.
The Lovin' Spoonful.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that one.
Okay. The song is "Do You Believe in Magic?"
Do
you believe in magic? Yeah. I've heard that one.
And we come because what's happening here, it's difficult at times. It's painful sometimes. It's confusing, but I swear it's magic. It really is.
Yeah.
Because
It
it's
really
the
is.
magic.
You're right.
It's the magic
You're
part
right.
of being human. It's not rules. It's not guidance. It's not compliance. It's not fear. It's not.
I believe that.
It's not all these negative things. It's something special that makes us human, and I call it magic.
And we were talking about respect. Sorry, we were talking about respect earlier, and I think this is a good example of respect. Being able to respect each other's different opinions.
I agree.
Even when they're wrong. No, I'm just
Can we
kidding.
say, excuse me, can we say hello to San Diego and Gail?
Oh, San Diego.
San Diego.
Hello.
Well, I'll say one thing for Seth and Felicia. I think Dakota has better manners than most witnesses that I know.
He's,
Yeah.
he's really
So-
sweet.
No, you don't know him too well.
Oh.
we put him up for sale last week, and they
No, you did not.
No, we love that boy.
Are you
Are
guys
you
joining a non-denominational church? Are you guys doing like a small mom and pop churches somewhere?
Well, I sometimes get on a Zoom meeting with like-minded people who share. We're not a religion; we're just a small group, and we share
Okay.
Bible thoughts. And then ever so often, when we just feel like getting together and singing some gospel songs, we go up to a non-denominational church up the road and just sing some gospel hymns or whatever, and
That's
talk
cool.
with them. But
That's
we're not
cool.
going to join. It's not something we're joining or anything. But
Oh,
that's
okay.
about it.
Got it. Okay, just curious.
Yeah, we got baptized. Was it last July or 2 years ago?
We went out in the pool, in our local pool.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Right on.
Yeah.
So he's
I did it in my
Christian.
music video.
I've actually started following Propercarians. Matt is a guy I've met at another group, and he's in the UK, and he directed me to. Basically, they don't adhere to. It's not like they cram the stuff down your throat like other groups do, but they just basically think that Christ was created, and there's going to be better things in the future, and without getting too heavy into it, it's pretty cool. But they took the term from two Greek terms. It's pretty cool what they came up with. I think it's called Propercarians or something like that. And
Propercarian.
so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
And that's the fun thing about leaving the JWs. You can explore yourself. You can explore what you believe. You can explore all the what ifs and all the questions, and you can look into the truth. And it's great. You're allowed to. You are allowed to do it.
Yeah.
I applaud you all.
You know, Seth, yeah, I was gonna say the same. I applaud you too. Like, you got baptized again, and I didn't mean to do this, but I mean I did mean to do this. I made a music video, and I got baptized in the music video to recognize that baptism is very serious. I took it very seriously. I loved God. I loved him. That's why I did it.
Yeah.
I did it because I loved God. That's why I got baptized. That's why.
Yeah, and you don't have to give allegiance to an organization or to any particular man. You did it because you loved your heavenly Father, and that's the beauty.
What a freedom.
Yeah.
You did it for
Hi,
you.
Gail.
Hi, everybody.
Gail.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say I was kind of a rebel as a JW. The elders did not know what to make of me. I was a fence sitter, and I had one foot in the world and one foot as a JW, but I never got in trouble. And I just have an elder keeps calling me. He called me the last week, and I keep telling him I haven't been there in 2 years. Well, anyway, I want to get back to the subject about, I hate to use the word gay. I was the only straight person, and all the staff were homosexuals. And the mental health attracted a lot of homosexuals because they were great workers. Mm-hmm. And I learned, because I was a JW at the time, I did not judge them. My boss, I loved her. She would have me come over for cookouts. But the only thing I said to them, I said, look, I like men, so you're not going to convert me. And they would get a big kick out of it. But I also said, look, I don't condone you either. And I don't condemn you. I said, because that's up to God and Jesus to do that. And that's not my role as a human being. Because, and the sad part was I worked with this beautiful girl. She was one of 16. They were all JWs except for her. And it was heartbreaking. She ended up passing away. And I talked to her. I didn't care if she was disfellowshipped. She worked with me. So I separated JWs from the workforce. She worked with me, and I felt I had a right to talk to her because we had to share things with the clients. So I just want to say that because, and we had two brothers that really tried really hard to keep that in check about the homosexuality. And I felt so bad for them. One was an elder, but he was removed. And I don't even know if they ever acted out, but I don't care. It's none of my business. But I loved the both of them. And I just want to say that's how I felt about. And I learned that on my own. I didn't need the JWs to tell me and preach to me who I should like and who I should not like and who I should shun. I never believed that anyway. So
You
that's
know,
stuff
you were a real independent thinker.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a misconception that we could actually recruit people. That's also the foundation for a lot of fear that
Yes.
people like, as if we meet somebody and we're grooming them, especially if they're a minor, but yeah, that's kind of cute. So I picture them laughing because that's such a silly thing, like as if. Yeah, but that's
Well,
cool
the
that you were
sister
talking
told
to
me,
them.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
The sisters used to say, Gail, you're very intimidating. I goes, no, I'm not. I'd give you the shirt off my back. They goes, you know why? Because you stick up for yourself and you're not afraid to speak up. And number two, you can talk over them most of the time because you do your homework.
Yes.
So they either loved me or they hated me. And I didn't really care because I was out in the world anyway. My brother used to call me a Jezebel.
Call you? Gail?
Oh my God.
What did he call you?
A Jezebel. Because I was going out to discos on the weekend.
Oh, dear.
The Jezebel spirit of rebellion.
He
Yeah.
told me he was going to turn me in.
See, I appreciate that independent thinking that you have, Gail, because to me, I was this double life. Like, I was like, I am young. You're right, Dad. Maybe it is my puberty. Maybe I'm just having a phase. So I'll just wait till I'm older. And I got older and it's like, I went through this and now all of a sudden this whole time it's a cult. So it's like, wow, what the hell is going on? Okay, be gay's fine because it rhymes.
Well, and a lot of them are using double lives too. A lot of them are cheating with other sisters. So,
When you're in a culture where you can't be who you authentically are, then yes, you have to live a double life. But the double is the side. So so being the fake self or the cult personality, that's the counterfeit. So we're forced to be our counterfeit. And then when we go to do the double life, we're actually going into an area where we can be authentic. But in reality, it's supposed to be the other way around. We go and be somebody fake and not be our true selves. But in the organization, see how that's backwards?
Yeah. Well, I have good news.
Yes.
So I'm eating dinner. One of my friends who's an active witness, I've been working on her for 2 years. She's bending. She's seeing the light. Finally.
That's beautiful.
We
That
talked
is
for over
great
an
news.
hour, and she told me to look up Bone and Skulls with the Brother Ruthwood's family.
Wow.
And she's seen the light, and she hasn't made that step yet because her husband's a ministerial servant. So
Wow.
I'm going to keep working on her.
Well, you'll be a good support for her, Gail.
Thank you so much, folks.
Yeah, we want to thank everyone.
Hanging on. Oh, it's all good night now. Oh.
And here's the movie, Paint Your Wagon. If you want to see it, it's on Discord. Just go to the Discord channel.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna put the link in the chat section. So if anybody wants to join Discord, just click that link and it'll automatically ask you to join the server if you haven't joined already. But that's the movie that we're gonna watch tonight. So as soon as the show is over, everybody head over to Discord and I'm gonna start it there for you in the movie room. So we'll see.
Hey, Fran.
Yes.
Could you say that movie title one more time, Fran?
Paint Your Wagon.
I love your accent. Paint your wagon. I love it.
Well, I love your accent.
Says the country boy.
Ruby just reminded me of a link, and if you missed it in the beginning, there's a GoFundMe for Vern, and Sean is going to put it in the after the program, so it's going to be there in the regular comment section. So if anyone wants to donate, Vern is going to be having an operation, and it's not covered in Canada, so we all, if you can give just a little bit, it goes a long way.
Yeah, we're thankful for all the work that they do for us to be here.
They have done so much as far as giving, and yeah, this is a really great opportunity to give back. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to be sharing it.
Who is he?
I'm sorry. What's that?
Who is that person?
Vern, the one that does Fixing My Faith.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
Shauna
okay,
is his
okay.
wife, and
This-
she's the one
This
that
is their
helps us.
channel.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we wouldn't be here without them.
yeah, they helped us get started. So
Oh, they did.
yes,
Okay.
And they are helping us to stay going.
yes, yes. We wouldn't be here if it
No,
weren't for
they're
them.
behind.
Yes.
They're
Oh,
behind the
okay.
scenes doing everything.
Yeah, we don't do any of the.
They don't do anything.
We don't do any of the computer. We just come on and say hello.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
set it all up. They do all the videos.
Yeah.
They set up the links, everything.
So we're gonna show them some love.
Yes. Like
One of
Oh
Vern
yes,
would
just
say.
a last
Go ahead.
last thank you to our hosts, Joe and Fran. They don't have to be here, but they are here every Wednesday night for us, and it is like a staple, a pillar in our community.
Yep.
They don't get paid for this either. So we want to thank Joe and Fran and everybody in the chat section and everybody who participates here tonight. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Ruby.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you,
Have a nice
everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Love
Thank
you
you.
all. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, all. Good
Good night,
night.
guys.
Good night.